Hey everyone, good evening. Hey stage crew. Sorry we're late and we're on a different day, but I definitely wanted to come in with you guys and welcome KB. How are you
Hi,
doing? How
I'm
are you doing?
good. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing great tonight. I'm joined by KB. Shout out to Tujuana. She had another engagement, and she really wanted to be here because I've been talking about this for weeks, and I've had some traveling going on. I've had some other things going on, but y'all, we got to get into this. So we're gonna do a quick review of season one of Love on Stage. That Bria though. We're gonna talk about Robert and Bria, the Robert and Bria of it all, and then we're also
Mhm.
gonna talk about um, Mr. Jesus and Mr. Walter, and y'all. I was late on my graphics because I wanted to put Jesus phonetically, like y'all would put on in the comment. And so I got some pictures though. I got some things going. So let's go. Stay tuned. Reviews. How are you doing? I'm so sorry. Yes, I didn't do Mavs and Ready to Love. I will be get back on it. I'm actually in Chicago for a wedding this weekend, and I'm so sorry, but I will be coming back. I promise. Stay tuned. I need to join you on your show. So, but stay tuned. Be going quick. I'm like, gosh, I got to learn from him. So, y'all, let's get it going. We are gonna start, and then we're gonna go into Marriage Be Hard. Okay.
Yes, looks weird.
So, okay, so let's go. So let's start there. Okay. I actually am gonna go back a couple of slides. One second. Yes. Okay. We always start with Melissa Fredericks, and shout out to her. They've been going through it for the last couple of weeks, but again, their content is back, so we got to just shout out to them. Jen and Juice had us crying. Woo. And then her and Kev had us crying. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's just been a lot. It's just been a lot, but rest well, Jason. Just such a great person. And now, so season one of Love on
yeah.
Stage, the ladies had some gentlemen to choose from. Okay, we got Bria, we got Aries, and we got Sherelle.
Mhm.
What did you think of the crop of gentlemen that the ladies had to choose from?
Oh, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best crop. It didn't make me want to Tahitian at all.
It wasn't
I
what?
it wasn't the best crop of men.
It wasn't
So
the
it
best crop of men. What do you think it was? Who applied, or because, and that's the issue. Like, are these
yeah,
guys? Because looking at in season two, I'm just like, okay, the crop of guys these ladies had to choose from, and vice versa. I don't know. Is this who we have out here? And same thing with, I mean, they're like, is
yeah,
this Atlanta? I think that they had to go back around again to choose these guys. So we're gonna go real quick. I did pull
yes,
some single pictures of these guys, but I really was like, I'm just gonna do the full shot because woo. Stay tuned.
yes.
Tell me where to go. People were telling me if you listen, KB, if you know some pizza places.
Oh, do you like
What the-
deep dish pizza?
I do, but now that I'm older, I'm trying to get like healthy. But let's check. We'll probably do some deep dish. I'll do some deep
Okay.
dish first. Okay, so wait. So we got James Gamble Jr., very churchy,
Yes.
and he's only 26, but he comes off much older.
Yes, yes. Chemical
Um,
engineering from Penn State. I wrote that down.
yes. Okay,
Mhm.
and this is James Gamble Jr. It just, oh gosh, he just came off. So I was like, 20, you're 26. I just kept saying that the whole time, which is
Yes.
a good thing, but almost when he had a one-off date, because he really shot his shot. He really wants to find his person, which I loved. But it's almost like they had to instruct him, relax, wear a button-down shirt, you know,
Yes.
um, just to be a little bit more, just relaxed, just be a little bit more relaxed and friendly instead of so stodgy.
Yeah.
What did you think of him? Besides, I mean, engineer from Penn State, outstanding. Besides
Yes.
his pedigree, what did you think of him?
I thought he was, I mean, he's a nice guy. I think one of the statements that he made was that he's always the safe option for girls,
Mm,
right? And so he wanted to switch that up. And I can see where he gets that from, but I
absolutely.
think maybe he just needs to be a little bit more outgoing because I think that was the thing. I think you can really tell that he was very introverted and they kind of wanted somebody a little bit more exciting, but he's just yeah. He
What
called
did
himself a safe option.
He absolutely called himself a safe option. What did you think of, I love Melissa's understanding of we as women, we go through a transformation. All of us women are, we love God and we grew up
Yeah.
in the church, absolutely. But we, all of his answers were religious,
Yes.
and he was still in the younger version of himself. He hadn't had that transformation yet. So the woman that he wanted to meet, Majesty, she's 2 years older than him, which is not bad at all, but she's had a turn. She's had a transformation,
Hmm.
and has just opened her mind and opened herself up to more things out there, and he's not there yet. So
Yeah.
sometimes you can have you're just not in the same place.
Yeah.
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 And I was like, gosh, I can't wait to see his transformation. That's what I was
I
just like,
know. I know. But I think he's a good guy, right? Obviously,
yes.
but yeah.
And what was so interesting is what is about their date. And stay tuned. I really want to ask you, I'm glad because you're a guy. And when a woman is giving you a leading question, are men receptive or do men hear it? Because I heard it. She said, "Oh yes, her is playing it. Is going to be in concert at the end of the month." I was like, "Uh,
Yeah.
sir, she's asking you."
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I don't know if guys hear it. Right? Stay tuned. I don't know. Like, because I don't know the guys. I feel like you lead them to water, and then they're just like, mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I said, I
yeah,
said, "Do you hear?" She's asking. He was like, "Okay." Okay. And I
yeah,
was like, well, poor thing. I don't even know if he knew who her was, but even if he didn't, um, he should have said, well, let me check my schedule or something like that. Get off the phone with her. And then let me look up who this artist is. And then say, okay, let me
yeah,
call you. Like, yeah, I'll get you some tickets or something like that. But it was nothing. It was crickets. I was like, oh,
yeah.
James. So, um, so oops, hold on a second. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all know I need mouse control. 1 second.
Okay.
So I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna go to Gerard Foster.
Okay.
Um, what I loved about these guys was Gerard is basically unemployed.
Yes.
But he's between, and Melissa was really trying to save him between jobs, because by the time, so he was getting a job, but he had the interview with Melissa, but he's also an actor and producer.
Hmm.
I have a daytime job because I'm also a writer and producer. And I said, "Oh, that's not paying the bills, sir." And I just knew
Yeah.
as soon
No.
as he said that, I was like, "Oh no." So they really liked him. So here's the thing: personality's not gonna get it with with ladies.
No.
You
And
know,
he was engaged before too. That was the other thing I had in my notes. Like he was engaged before. And one of the other things that he said, which I think didn't make him right for any of the women that were picked, was that he's not religious.
oh, I did write that down.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I felt like based on the women that they actually picked, he would not have been a good match for them.
right. previously engaged, unemployed entrepreneur, actor,
Yes.
filmmaker, not religious. I was like, oh gosh, he definitely said I'm not religious, and it is just not for who he picked. Now he might be okay for one of the other ladies. Um, yeah, there was a lady that the dentist. Well, we'll go through
All
the
right.
ladies
Yeah.
that we have, but to me, there were some of the other ladies that she just wanted to try a dating show or something like
Yes.
that. And I said, okay, well, maybe for her, maybe because yeah, but not somebody who really knows what they want and are ready to go, are ready,
Yes.
they feel like they're ready to receive, dating with intention. Okay, y'all, I want to get to William Allen, the Kappa. He's
Okay. Yes, the Kappa. Okay.
okay. Go ahead. You go.
No, go, no, no. Just set it all up.
Ooh,
Set it all up.
okay, the Kappa. Um, gosh. So this man, what? Because I tried to be so nice. I tried to be so nice. Where did I put William? So William is the Kappa.
Mhm.
He's a musical director. He's all the things. He believes that he is all the things. He says that he wants cookie lions. That's his he wants the long hair. He wants a woman that looks a certain way. Um and he said, you read the room. He said it wasn't read the room, but he said if I'm going out to dinner, I want and you see how I'm dressed, I don't want you to come dressed like you're just rolling out of bed.
Mhm.
What was come on, what else you got?
He said low self-esteem is a non-negotiable.
Mhm.
He wants a woman without kids, a woman with small features, so small nose, everything small. That's one of the things he
Yes,
said.
that's cute. That's cute to me. That's what it
Yes.
is.
Then
That's cute.
he said, I want a high maintenance woman. That was one of the other things that he said. And he's only had 3 relationships in life because he usually does like long-term
Yes,
relationships.
he's a serial. So he has a monogamy. Yes, he has three
Yes.
long relationships. Thank you.
Yes. And in that episode, one of the experts was Stevon Lewis, who was also a Kappa, and they were just
Yes,
like, "So go ahead and defend this."
yes. I love it because Stevon, I
Yes,
love Stevon Lewis. Actually, he's a very intelligent man. But he was like, so you just knocked him out as soon as you said he was a Kappa. As soon as you said Kappa, you guys just put him out there. And I said, no, that's not it. Just listening to him, he is literally going to critique these women immediately. He's not going to be listening to her because he's going to be looking at her feet. Um,
yes,
or her hands, and that's exactly what we have. And I said, wow, wow, William. And but I do agree with what Marcus said though, and I loved Marcus's idea that um he needs a person like Aries because Aries will get them together. And I would love for Marcus or some of these guys, Marcus, or even even like a CP, let's say, listen, who's been married for years, and he'll put something funny on it, but he's like, see, but
yeah. He's just, I don't know who he needs. I don't. I wouldn't do Aries. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of heavy lifting. But
it's a lot of heavy lifting.
because
I love
yeah,
that. I love that.
yeah,
I love that analogy. That's a lot of heavy lifting.
yes,
He- uh,
because
For a guy. I've never heard a guy, and I mean, I've never heard a guy say that they want a high maintenance woman,
no,
but only if you're a high maintenance man. So y'all spend all day in shopping. Are you actually listening to each other and having good conversations?
yeah. But then also, you want a high maintenance woman, and this is in no way salary shaming. You're a music teacher, right? So it's like, do the two things go together?
No. Mm-mm.
Mm,
Mm. That's
I
a good
just,
point.
yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Um, who else do? Oh, you know what I want to talk about? I actually liked Terrence. I actually thought now who I voted for, Aries.
Okay.
I voted for Terrence. Terrence had a
Okay.
9-year-old. Terrence was divorced. His ex had two girls who are now older. So I actually liked Terrence. I thought that, he may not match her as in energy, because I think that Aries is full of life as well. I think that she's somebody
Yeah.
who just exudes confidence and all of those things. But as far as education, as far as or intelligence, temperament, um, and character, I thought that Terrence would be, although Terrence is 35, Aries is 40 or 41 at the time. I actually liked Terrence for Aries. They may not be in a forever match, but I thought that they would be a good match, to go out on
Yeah.
a date. And I think that he would have been respectful. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think he would have. So one of the things that I have in my notes, which is probably why they weren't matched,
Mm,
is that he said that he doesn't want a woman with kids because when he got divorced, he lost a relationship with his stepkids.
right. I do
And so
remember
he
that.
didn't want to go through that again. Like I think that's a block for him. And I don't know if he would bring the same energy as James from season 2 because the kids thing was very like a specific thing that he brought up.
Hmm.
But I actually thought that he was a good guy, and I think, and even a lot of the comments that they made were, but for that one statement, that those two probably would have been a good match.
But he doesn't want any kids. Okay, so if that's we're going to get into
I know, I
Chanel.
know, I know.
It's because
Yeah, no,
so
because I wrote it because they said he could be with Aries or Sherelle, but it was one of the comments that they made was that
it was the
he
no
didn't want a person with kids. Yeah,
any kids, but he has a 9-year old, and his ex-wife had 2 kids.
yeah,
So I hear what you're saying, and I remember that, but at the same time, I'm
yeah.
like, but
But you have kids.
you're
Yeah.
35, you're going to meet a woman
Hmm.
with kids. So,
Hmm.
and I just thought that also, I thought that he could be a good mentor or a good, just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just liked Terrence. I don't know that, but also Terrence really was the only one I saw for Aries in a tiny bit. Cause really, and we've all said this, that there was really nobody on the show for Aries. There
There
was,
wasn't. There
and I
was.
said, maybe like they would have a good date, or I thought he would be respectful and show her a nice time, but as far as long term, she didn't have any matches on here. So um let's go to
Uh-uh.
okay. Let's go to okay, we're gonna go to Derek, and then we're gonna go to the 3 picks. So what did you think about I want a woman, a God-fearing woman? A God-fearing woman. She has to be God-fearing. Did I tell you that, KB? She has got to be a God-fearing woman.
Yes. Okay. Definitely wanted God fearing, supportive, loving woman, very religious, needed to be very religious, has 2 daughters, wants more kids, wants to date a woman with kids. Like it was just like, oh, okay.
There was a
Well,
lot. I
it
said,
was a lot.
there was nobody on here for him. There was nobody because he
No,
didn't he have twin daughters or something like that? He is like,
I think so. Yeah.
yes. And I was like, there's nobody on here for him.
No.
Woo, that was
Yeah.
just, and also I just felt like this picture gives him the impression that he can be a little fun and goofy, but looking at his picture, the way he was in the camera was like this. I was like, oh,
Yes.
sir, pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And it just was so I'm gonna use the word abrasive, or it could, and even if he's not abrasive, it came off as abrasive. So yeah. So and now you know what? Let's go to Walter first. They're gonna do Walter and then Jesus, and then we'll get to the Robert of it all. So let's go to Walter
Okay.
first. Your first
Uh,
impression, first impression of Walter.
yeah. So to me, Walter, hmm, I don't even know what I can say about my first impression now. Now I feel like I'm tainted,
I,
but I feel like Walter was just kind of like, okay, I don't know who he would match with at all, and I didn't from the episode where we're introduced to Walter to the first date Walter. I feel like he switched up. Right,
absolutely.
like I wasn't expecting that Walter from that date, so I was surprised that Walter was even picked, and from the pick that got the highest votes.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't see that. I didn't see Walter matching with anyone, and from that list, I felt like at best he I would have picked him for Aries,
Yep.
but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, with Walter, I was just like, I don't know what we're getting here, but just age wise and from the apparent temperament that we had when we met with him, I would have picked him for Aries.
I actually will be honest, I picked him for Aries too, not for long term, but I said they'll have a fun time. I thought
Yeah,
the same thing. I said that they're not they're not right for each other, but
yeah,
he seemed like a real goofball. He seemed like he'd have it and he'd make her laugh.
yes,
So I absolutely thought he'll make her laugh, but that's first impressions, right? That's all
yeah,
I'm saying, talking about right now is he'll make her laugh and she would enjoy her time with Walter and that's it. I thought that, and he's a professional barber. Like he seemed like a cool guy.
yeah.
That's it. And then second impression, I said, okay. And I was like, he reads Hebrew? Like I wasn't like I didn't get all moist, but I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's and also he's ex-military.
Yeah, I
I
was
have
gonna
a
say that
father that's
ex-military.
ex-military, father and stepfather who's ex-military.
Mhm.
So the learned part of him, I got that. I understood like that regimented and all of those things and his the pride I saw in everything that he was showing her. Totally got that. I was like, "Oh, that all of those mean a lot." So I
Yes.
totally agree with you. The first impression versus the first date, I was like, "Okay, he there's some depth here.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here, right?" Um the four kids, I said, "Okay, I'm seeing Aries, but I don't see long term." I honestly there was nobody there for Aries that was long term, like there was a match for her.
No. No.
But I said he'll make her laugh, and she does. Everybody
Yeah.
deserves somebody that'll show you a good time and have be respectful and make her laugh. That's all I saw. Um, and then, but I also knew with Sherelle, I said it doesn't matter. This is not a good for match for Sherelle. It
Now,
just
Aunt Sherelle actually said she didn't want someone, was it with more than two kids?
absolutely. She said 1 to 2 kids at the most.
Yes.
So I didn't understand them picking first. I didn't. Now I'm trying to think. Who did I pick for Sherelle? Who did you pick for Sherelle?
Um, let's say, I can't even
I
remember
think,
now.
yeah.
I
I
didn't.
actually
Okay.
think that I picked because she's 30. I actually think I may have picked Terrence.
Yeah, I think it was Terrence, and I saw in the comments too that a lot of people picked Terrence for Sherelle.
Right. I definitely did not pick Jesus, but or I didn't pick him. But I'm trying to think. I think I picked Terrence, and was it Brandon or
Mhm.
Elaine or Elaine?
Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, I liked Elaine. I wanted Elaine to get picked for somebody because I
I
actually
did
liked
too.
Elaine.
I think it was yeah, Terrence and it was Brandon or Elaine for Sherelle. I did not pick Walter. I just think the four kids just knocked him out, and I think that even though she wants to have fun and she's engaging and everything and she's very charming,
Yeah.
I think that I said that he's too goofy for her.
Mhm.
For first impressions, I said that this is not it's not for Sherelle.
Yeah.
Um
But I think what people picked up on was he was a preacher's kid. And remember, Melissa thought she was a virgin for
True.
the first. So I think that's what people were picking up on. Like, oh, the virgin should be with the preacher's kid. And it's like, no,
No. No.
yeah, no, no.
I just no way. And see, honestly, in all of that gray hair, all of that, I was like, this man
Yeah.
got 4 kids. This man is like been in the military. He has seen some things,
Hmm.
and he has been around the world. And the
Yeah.
woman that wants to be a pastor and all the things. This is not. Yeah, no. I just knew.
Yeah.
I no. I read right through Walter. It's like this is not.
Another note that I had for Walter was
Mhm.
that he was separated for 3 years, and then I think it was like maybe a month before the show he had gotten divorced. So it was like he was recently divorced.
Really.
Yes. Yes. So I don't even think I had Walter as a like.
As a
I was just
candidate,
saying as a pick because I'm like,
I did not know about the recent divorce. So I definitely think that I definitely picked him for Aries, not for long term, but I was just like, I think that he'll be nice and he's fun. I said,
yeah,
okay, Aries,
yeah.
we'd like to have a good time. But yeah, I didn't know it was recent at that time. You're right.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go to the Jesus of it all. First impressions of Jesus, just first impressions out the box. What did you think of Jesus?
No, that was my first impression. No. So I can elaborate, but the first thing was absolutely not. So I I was Angel, like anybody but Jesus. No.
Yes. I got
Um,
this. I got it.
I so I feel like I haven't met Jesus specifically, right? But I've met this type of person, right? So the first
Mm-hmm.
thing is he's on the show. He's wearing this jacket. He has
Jacket
his
with no
chest
shirt.
showing. Yes. And then I don't know if you caught this because he slipped in. He's 6 something, 225.
Yes. He's
I'm mixed with Dominican, so that's why I have waves in my like all. And I was just like, this is the red flag. This is the red flag saying no, 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 no. Do not pick this guy. Do not pick this guy. And yeah, so that was my first impression.
my first impression was absolutely no. And I was
Yeah.
first of all, it was the beard. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the suit coat with no shirt. It was the little rose on the lapel.
Mhm.
The whole look behind with the fish tank, and then I was like, "Is that a tattoo in his head? What's going on?" And this is before he says that this is what he does for a living. I was like, "No, just don't." And I'm an Aries. I said, "We don't like all of that pomp and circumstance. You can't lead with that." And we believe that if you are an alpha man, you don't say you're an alpha man. An
Yes.
alpha man does not say it. And he doesn't the first meeting, and I actually didn't know that I was y'all me pulling these pictures. I thought I took the other picture down. I thought the the picture of Walter, or no, sorry, the picture of Jesus and the first picture of Jesus, he's sitting outside. But uh him saying that his beard, oh yeah, my daughter is saying, oh, that they love you, dad, they love you, they're talking about your beard and your eyebrows. And Melissa's like, what are you talking about, what are they saying about your beard and your, oh yeah, and she's like, yeah, you got the waves going in your beard. Oh, he said, I'm Dominican, and
Something else.
and something,
Yeah.
and so yeah, everybody talks about my beard, and it was like, okay. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it was, I just know that uh there were so many other things. Oh, what KB just said, he said he checks all the boxes. He checks every box that a woman's looking for. I'm 6'6", 225. I'm this, I'm that. I make six figures. I do this, I do that. Don't lead with that. And he said, I check all the boxes that a woman wants. So no,
Mhm.
just no.
Yeah.
And yeah, just no.
No.
Just no.
So that was my first impression. It was no.
It was
And
this picture. There's another
oh,
picture of him going like this. That's what I was looking for. There's
oh
another
my
picture of him
gosh.
just showing his muscles. And
Yes.
wasn't he on the Iron Man competition? He was on some show on ABC where he's yes. And that's, I was just no.
Yeah.
So with Aries, and so one thing I do like about this is that the ladies got this season, the ladies got to see the interviews from the other gentlemen.
Mm.
And I like that because you could see Aries's reaction. And she was like, "Oh no, just no."
Yeah.
And she said, "I know that they're going to put me with him because of the age. I just know it. I just know,
Yeah.
just his look. They're going to put me with him." And they did. And it's just no.
Yeah.
So that was it. And I clocked it immediately. I said, "See, there's gonna be," and I was also, y'all, we talk about Kevin Samuels and the manosphere, and oh, also he wants a submissive woman,
Mm-hmm.
and this idea that she's not submissive and she's a boss and all of these things, that's not necessarily true. This is just some um label that you've put on her because she's she's a hard worker, she's a single mom and all of these things. This is some label that you've put on her, and this is an assumption that he's put on her as well. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just whew.
No, we'll talk once we get to the
Yes.
business part of it all. But but yes, I definitely saw through this. Like he was dropping these Easter eggs for people to pick up
Mm-hmm.
so that he would get selected. And to his credit, it worked. But it's like I see it. I'm 6'1", I'm 225. I work out. It's like, okay, all right, great. Now you got picked. But we see it, right? And Aries saw it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you called it Easter eggs. He's dropping all of these little hints. So because he's almost like, okay, what's the formula of the show? Who watches the show? Let me um put these things out there so it'll be like these calling cards that women will pick up and I'll be picked. That's it.
Yes.
That's all he was caring about,
Yes.
was being picked
Yes.
for the show. That's it.
Because the other thing, so there was a guy, hold on, and I did take the notes, that actually called himself an alpha male.
Mhm.
It was Aaron.
It was, yes.
And so I just felt like what Jesus did that Aaron didn't do is, instead of just saying I'm an alpha male, he dropped all of these talking points so that you got it without him actually saying the words.
Right. So Aaron was actually funny though, because I picked up from Aaron. Aaron said, "Oh yeah, I own 3 companies, and there are all these .com companies, and there's one's an Airbnb company, one's a tech startup and everything." And Kev was like, he's Tommy from Martin. Like he just
Yes.
thinks he owns this, he owns that. He really doesn't. And so, but he's saying all of these things. He said, people say alpha male, but I really do believe I'm an alpha male. I'm like, okay. Okay. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So yes. Okay, so y'all, okay, who's next? So, oh, I'm so sorry. First impressions of Robert Jordan the Third. First impressions of Robert Jordan the Third.
I liked Robert, right? And one of the comments that they made about Robert, which I recognized too, was that he was, I think, the only guy that didn't say something about what he wanted the woman to look like. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was just kind of open and he was just like, I want this type of woman, but it didn't have to look a certain way. And I also think that Robert was a perfect pick because one of the things that he said was part of the reason why he's having a hard time dating is just because he doesn't have time to date, right? So it's not like, I've dated these women and they all seem to, nobody wants to be submissive or nobody has the small features that I like. It was just, I just have a hard time setting aside time to date. And I appreciated that about Robert, and I thought he was a good pick.
I thought he was an excellent pick. I liked Robert from the beginning because you could tell. I felt like in his interview he was nervous and he
Yes.
treated it like an interview. And they said, "Oh, he's not going to be. He's not that adventurous type." And they really picked on it. He's not that like high energy person. And I said, I said that he's just nervous. You can that lisp and Robert's lisp was moving. I said,
Yeah.
poor thing, just relax, Robert.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I just thought
Yeah.
that was more sweet, but I could see where, they're looking at it for a certain person. It could look like he was just low energy and it was just that he was so nervous. But I
Yeah.
love what he said about self-therapy. One, I love what he does, production and having his own production company, but then the self-therapy, he writes a lot, getting to know myself.
Mm-hmm.
He's attracted to intelligence. He did say about working out, and I
Yeah.
was like, uh-oh. But I don't think, I just think that he wants somebody that, takes care of themselves and is
Yeah.
paying attention to that. He did not talk about she has to look like this. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Because he said workout, but not necessarily a gym rat.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so just like, oh boy, Aaron, Aaron was like slim thick. He wants it
Yeah.
to be slim thick. I was like, oh, done. Okay,
Yes,
never
yes,
mind.
yes. And the other
Yes,
thing about Robert that I liked is he said that he wanted to be part of a team.
yeah, oh, that's that. Yes,
Yes.
yes. He wanted a team player. I'm here for you. You're here for me. Like
Yeah.
he wants that collaborative. He wants somebody to be with him. Like he wanted to spend that. I felt like quality time was his love language,
Hmm.
and he wants that quality time. And so I appreciate it, Robert. We're gonna get into them now because
Okay.
yes, because I just
Right.
liked his first interview. I was like, he's handsome immediately, and with him immediately, I said Bria. I just immediately said Bria.
That
I
Bria
just
though.
that you know, I immediately before he said it, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they're both creative and everything. I didn't even expect the camera thing. So
Yes.
yeah, let's get into it.
Yes. Okay. All
Okay.
right.
So okay. Oops. Wait. Did I start the first one? Okay. So Melissa, thank you. I was like, I know that this is the first slide. Okay, so the first episode was this just as the second season. The first episode is always the scavenger hunt.
Mhm.
And what I loved, I did Robert and Rhea first. What I loved about Robert and Melissa in the panel talked about this. This man was giddy. This man,
Yes.
he
Yes.
was
He
so
was so excited.
it's so important for a man to just be excited about you. Robert just could not stop moving in his chair.
Hmm.
And she was trying to like, you know, but as a woman, I know that I'm like that. Like I just don't believe it. I don't believe that this man is excited about me. So, she was I actually and I put in the comments when I started the first episode, I said, I feel like she's giving him a hard time. And somebody commented back to me like, they're together though. And Bria said, no, you're right. I think I was giving him a hard time at first
Okay.
because you just don't believe it.
Yeah.
Um uh But what I
Mhm.
feel like he was giving her a hard she was giving him a hard time. What did you think of their first date?
Obviously, he was just so enamored by her, right? That it was just like he was just sitting there like this, like, "Oh, you're here," And I agree. I think she just didn't believe that he was so excited for her.
Right.
And one of the things that comes up in this episode and throughout the finale is why would you question if you've been praying for this for so
Right.
long, right? So I think it took her a while to realize, like, no, this guy actually really likes me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that she was a little hesitant at first.
I think she was very hesitant. And as a
Mhm.
matter of fact, I'm gonna get into this now too, is that Robert DM'd her. As soon as they got matched, this man has said,
Yes.
I'm gonna manifest this, I'm gonna work on this, I'm gonna make sure that this is what happens. Like he followed instructions, do not
Very
meet.
intentional.
But
Yes.
he was so intentional. I just loved it. I said, the fact that he DM'd her and then she was receptive, she was like, I'm not sure. Like at first she wasn't sure, but then she just had to believe it and lean into it. Yeah. Yes. Whew. I was so happy that and then the things that their scavenger hunt was so cute.
Yes. Yes. I'm looking at because I took notes about
Yes.
what
Yeah.
they
Okay.
actually had.
So because the camera thing was huge.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so the scavenger hunt, Robert has a wall of cameras, you guys, a wall of cameras, and her thing that she brought was her Polaroid. So that was which one was that though? Was
That
that
was who are you? Wait, which one did she bring the camera? Who are you as a person?
who are you as a person?
Yeah.
That's
And
huge.
hers was the Polaroid.
Yes, and she's always the one. Would you ask any of my
Yeah.
friends? I'm the one taking pictures, and Robert had this wall of cameras. Um, the last thing that someone brought you as a gift, and she had what was the big doll? What was that? Was that
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda? Yes,
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
Baby Yoda. Um, and he had a shirt from his mom, or was that a mug? No,
It was a mug
it
from
was a
Iraq
mug
from
from
his.
his mother's travels. And they
Yeah.
talk. I love the scavenger hunt because it leads to new conversation. It leads you down a
Mhm.
road to talk about each other and get to know each other more. So that scavenger hunt is huge. that's the icebreaker right there. That's
Yeah.
how you get to know each other.
Yeah. And so just quickly, the different categories were something from your childhood,
Right.
something about your dreams, something that represents you as a person, the last gift you received from someone, and something from your last travel experience.
Okay. And the last travel experience was the port, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's what he brought.
That's what he brought.
Mhm.
What did she bring from her last travel
A
experience?
purse from a local shop that
From
she
local
got
shop. It
from
was
a
um,
bachelorette trip.
that's right.
Yes,
That's right. And him in that port, I just yeah.
I know.
I
Yeah,
just thought that they just vibed so easily. And
they
honestly,
did.
yeah, it it is surprising. It is surprising, but they just vibe so clearly. And
Yeah,
people were like, "I'm not sure about Robert," but it's our jadedness that had people in the
I know.
comments like,
I
"Mm-mm."
know.
Yeah, where people are just not sure because that because of certain things. So I want to get into Sherelle and Walter.
Okay.
What did you think of their first date?
So again, with Walter, he surprised me. I liked him a lot more in the first date than I did in the meet the guys section. I thought that he had a bubbly personality. You could tell that he was an extrovert, which I thought was kind of good because it brought out her personality. I think that it was a fun date, and you're right, he did get deeper, right? And you remember there was that one moment where he brought out the Hebrew Bible, and
Yes.
then she was like, "Oh, you read the Bible in Hebrew?"
Like,
Yes,
you speak Hebrew? Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
that was a switch for them. And which was the Bible? It was who is he as a person? Is
Right.
when he brought up the Hebrew Bible. Um, yeah, I think that their date went well, and especially 'cause we didn't go over this. She wasn't excited to be matched with Walter.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to start with. Okay. Sherelle and Walter, when they first heard that they were getting matched with each other, Melissa says, Walter, and she's like, oh, okay, okay. She's just, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and then Walter was like drinking his drink. He was like, oh, okay. Oh, okay then. Okay
Yeah.
then. They were not excited to be matched with each other. Walter he was just like, I'm not sure about her.
Mhm.
And I think that it was the age and the kids that was like, it's not gonna work. Because also he did look like a fun time. So they were like,
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna have a good time together. But that's not no. It's
No.
yeah, no.
No,
So
but I think too it was like I said, the sometimes people only pick keywords because virgin was the one thing that Melissa said, which was incorrect. And
right.
then preacher's kid on his side. So I think people just took those two things and said, you guys should be matched up. When she clearly said, I don't want somebody with more than two kids.
Hmm.
And there was also, like you keep saying, the age difference. So it was just kind of like, okay. So I think it makes sense when you pick up on that one point of the religious side, and then they start talking about the Hebrew Bible, and that was the switch for them. But there wasn't much more outside of that to make
Right.
that a good partnership or relationship. Yeah.
I wrote down, okay, she grew up Pentecostal apostolic. She wants to have kids. I'm okay with a man to have children. I'm okay with a man that has children, but not a lot. One to
Mhm.
two at the most. She said
Yes.
one to two at the most. Um, someone that can compromise. She's a rule follower. Yeah, and I also wrote down that Tara Alicia was not sure about Sherelle. She said a lot of surface stuff. Did you notice that
Yes. Yes. That was one of the things that she said about her.
yeah, she was like, I'm not sure. What I picked up is that Sherelle did talk a lot. I did thought
Hmm.
that in her interview with Melissa, she was just very explain. I felt like
Yes.
she over explained, but at the same time, like it's a dating show, I want to make sure that the person that I'm matched with is, a good fit for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I understood, but I also thought, okay, it just felt like she was just over explaining.
Yes, and I think one thing too, because like you were saying, Teresa said that a lot of the things that she said were surface level and it wasn't deep.
Hmm.
And one thing that the panel kept on picking up is she's open to be matched with anybody. And I don't think they picked up on what she was actually looking for.
Right.
So they were like, anybody could be paired with her. And I personally don't even know what it is, what she said that made everyone think that, but that is what the panelists picked up on.
Yeah, I agree. They did. They've definitely said that she could be matched with anybody. Tara Alicia said, "I don't know who's the right fit for her." Um, they just weren't sure.
Yeah.
They just weren't sure. Yeah, she's Pentecostal apostolic. That's very strict, sturgent. To me, that means, well, gosh, I kind of see now why they would put her with Walter. They want her to loosen up and have a good time.
Yeah.
Viewing his first interview, he was the fun guy. He like to joke around. Oh, put this church girl with a fun guy, but I was like, gosh, is
Yeah.
that the only reason? So I man, and then we're gonna get into
Okay. Mm.
yeah. That's what I said. To Tara Alicia was not sure about Sherelle. I was like, gosh, why not though? But, but was she as descriptive? Was she just saying a lot of stuff, but wasn't direct in her description of what she's looking for? You know what I mean? You're just talking.
Yeah. I, because I don't know if it was the editing because, you know, in the very first episode, we meet a lot of different women, right?
Hmm.
And I don't know that she was any less descriptive than any of the other women that they met, but
Hmm.
somehow they were just saying that no, Sherelle could be paired with anybody.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, she says she doesn't want this, and, and I think it was one of the things that, that they picked up was
I
virgin, which
Yeah.
she didn't say,
Right.
right?
Right.
And they just kind of were like very religious, and so I think those were the things. But even Kev, when they were discussing Walter, was she doesn't want someone with more than two kids, and I think it was I don't know if they were listening to her as
I
well.
don't know that they were listening to her, and I'll tell you that's just exactly what you just said. During her interview, it was very different than during her tape. I wrote that down. That one of the producers, Audra, said when she on her tape that she sent in
Mhm.
her interview tape, and then they interviewed her, she came as much more charming and
You're right.
engaging in her
Yeah.
one-on-one interview than she did on her tape. So I wonder if that's just how she comes off, but she's not that person. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I also think that she's probably very disciplined. She lost over 100 pounds. She knows what she wants.
Yeah.
So yes. So okay. Let's go into let's go into sorry, Jesus. I'm gonna try to get it on the Canva. Hey,
The Aries and Jesus.
Is it Jahooz?
Oh my gosh,
Y'all
I
would be
can't.
like, "Hey, Seuss." No, it's He. I got it. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, what did you think of strictly
Ooh,
the first date, the get to know you date, the scavenger hunt date?
okay. So I told you I was prepared to shake some tables when
Hey,
it comes to
shake
Jesus.
it up, shake it up.
But I will say this. So degrees up here. I'm a lawyer for everybody. I can argue both sides of this, right? So I'm gonna start with defending Jesus, and then I'll go into um, Aries. So my impression of that first date, it did feel more like an interview where Aries was asking questions, right? Like ask a question and then he answers, ask a question and then he answers. And so I could see from his side where there wasn't that much of a back and forth, right? That's I can say that. Now, I maintain he should have never been picked for the show. Okay. But that's what I would say. And I think it was because she knew from watching him that I don't want to be matched with you, that there wasn't like this big back and forth. Okay? And on his side, like I said, he was dropping these Easter eggs, right? And so I think on his side, one of the Easter eggs was, he kept on saying, I'm from Chicago. I know a lot of guys that are players, so I'll tell you what the Easter egg was. He's from Chicago. They're actually in Texas. So he's the exotic guy that's from out of town. And there was supposed to be a back and forth from that, right? So I think in this date, yeah, I think I told you, like, they're both speaking in incomplete sentences because
True.
he was saying it so that she can pick up and ask him a question about being from Chicago,
Chicago.
right? Because if
Mhm.
he goes, I'm from Chicago, I used to be a thug, or, however he said it, right? Where I'm from, this, so it was, you were supposed to ask a question about Chicago. She
Mhm.
just never did. Now, that's what I will say. However, comma, um, Jesus should have never been picked. He should have never been there. I keep my no from when I first saw him, that it was a no, it was a no, it was a no. But that's what I would give, because even there was that one point where he said that he's here because he wants companionship. And I don't know if you saw where he was looking in the camera
Yeah. Oh, that's
and she didn't react.
yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that is in defense of Jesus. Now, let me tear into Jesus, because I don't know if you picked up on this from the episode before their date. When Melissa tells them that they're about to go on the date and it's a scavenger hunt, she gives them all the categories. He actually says, let me figure out what I can pick up to inspire the people.
Mm.
And that was him putting on a show.
Mm.
So he knew coming into the date that he was going to put on a show.
KB. I did not, and I usually pick up some things.
He kind of mumbled it, but I caught it. It was at the end of that episode where they're telling who's matched. He was just like, let me see what I can get to inspire the people. And I said, oh, okay.
Okay. I did not pick up on that, but that's excellent. Okay. I want to
Yes.
go back though.
Go
So I
ahead.
agree with you that Aries was not interested. She was
Mm-hmm.
not, he's not a good match, right? But the back and forth, and he was like, well, it's an interview. Okay, true. He felt like he was being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree though. I feel like he wasn't picking up the ball. Now he did say I'm from Chicago, and Aries said, "Oh, I get it now. I get it now." A lot of people tell me that I match with that type of Chicago mentality, that
Yeah.
Chicago type of personality. And so Aries was like, "Okay, I see it now." Okay, so she was just picking up on that. Now she said that, and he didn't pick up the ball after that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I felt like she was just talking because, or she was asking him questions because he wasn't engaging in back and forth conversation. But I do
No.
hear
Yeah.
what you're saying, that she wasn't vibing with him at all. But I do think Aries, okay, the first you turn the camera on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he would not take off his glasses, even if this is my thing. He said that he had laser surgery.
Yeah.
He told Melissa that they could have, now, if even if this was edited, um, but I didn't hear him tell Aries this. And so you're trying to be cool, just like you
Mm-hmm.
said, all of these breadcrumbs for the people. But why aren't you at least take the camera off or take your glasses off for Aries? Are you
Yeah.
just trying to be cool? And I just said, even if you had laser eye surgery a day or two ago, well, one, you knew when your first date was. Why did you have that morning? You know what I'm saying? So he
Mm-hmm.
could have taken those glasses off. And he just was trying to be cool, and that's not how you should be on the first date. So I do think that stiffened Aries up, and in
Mm-hmm.
her head she's just like, I'm just going to try to get through it. I'm just going to try to break down these walls. Let me have a good time. um I do think that he was trying to put on a show.
He
I
was.
agree with you on that. We, like you said, we stand the fact that he should never been picked. He should not have been somebody to be picked at all. I think that they picked him because of the age, closest in age to Aries, and they're both beautiful people. Um, So, and I
Well,
also
I think the other thing too, because one of the comments that was made was that it, the comment about Aries was, I guess people picked up on that she's a strong woman, and one of the things people are saying she needs a thug, and it's like,
oh yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't. And I think that, and it's like,
That's true.
no, she actually doesn't. Like
No, she
that is
doesn't need that.
not the correct
That's
pairing.
an
And
assumption.
yeah, and
That's
people
why.
need to stop thinking that that's the pairing, because it's not.
Yes, absolutely. I actually think that that's why I said that I thought that the other guy, Terrence, would have been better for her, just
Yeah.
because she needs an educated man that's like going to show her a good time. And yes,
Mhm.
have a good time. She's from the Bay, so yeah, she wants a guy that can play spades and relax. But she also would like an educated man and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, a reformed thug. True. Gosh, my last point was, I think that people thought that there are walls like Walter. She can break down his walls, and she could um that they're, let's peel back some layers. I feel like, oh, that's not, people assume, oh, that's not really him. And Aries is just the type of woman that can like open him up, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
why she got to be that person. And so that's
No.
what I
No.
that's what I got.
No.
And um so he felt like, so what's funny, you guys, is when you watch this back, Kev, when he's watching this, he said the next part, how she answers this question about being interviewed, is going to tell the whole thing. Will she stop talking and let him lead
I
it,
know.
or will or
Or
will she keep
yeah.
going? And she kind of kept going, because she was like, well, on your Instagram.
Yes.
I loved it. I'm gonna tell you why, because I don't think that she was being overly assertive, but she was just trying to
Mm.
say, like, who's that other guy? Like, there's a lot of selfies of you. Can I know what's more about you? I'd like to know
Yeah.
about the guy that both his parents were crackheads, and like he started from the bottom and now he's here. Why can't we see more of that? That's what she was trying to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
did he get that?
No, and I think too, from it, and I'll just continue with the Easter egg theory, is I know men, and
Hmm.
I sense that Jesus is one of these men, where they drop the Easter egg and then they expect the woman to be all over them, right?
Hmm.
So I know people that, their whole personality is, I have a client who's 6'8". He's like, I'm 6'8". And that's his pickup line. And it doesn't go further than that. And there are women that are like, oh, you're 6'8". And I think that's what I watched, right? So I watched I'm from Chicago. Pause. What's your reaction? I used to be a thug. Pause. What's the reaction? You know? And so it was like these things, like even with Melissa, I'm what do you say? 6'2",
I'm 6'2",
225.
225,
What are
right?
you gonna do? I got the waves in my, and so it was like it was there, but to those guys' points, and even with the man spirit, there are a subset of women that works on.
Yes.
It's just not Aries.
Mm-mm.
And I think that was part of his frustration, is because he's not used to being deeper than, I'm 6 foot, I'm from
Right.
Chicago, I'm in Texas now. What do you like? I'm mixed. I got, and it's like all of these things she was just supposed to swoon over, and Aries was like, so about you as a person though.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's not ever used to actually having to open up and go deeper.
No.
And to me, and honestly, Melissa was like, okay, what about your beard? Like, she was like,
Yes.
okay, so what does that have to do with anything? Who are you as a person? And that's not what he's used to. And you're right, there are a subset of women, and like he'll go um with his friends or his
Yeah.
mentors or his hairline homies. We're gonna get into the hairline homies in a second.
Yeah.
And and he hasn't had to be deeper. He
Mm-mm.
hasn't had to be deeper.
Mm-mm.
Okay, y'all, we're gonna go into the second date. So this is how the first date went for
Oh
Aries.
wait, before we get into the second date,
Oh yes, please go ahead.
can we talk? Because I said I was going to talk about it.
Yes.
The American Black Card business card
Oh yeah.
that
Oh yes.
Jesus had.
Oh yes. I was. Go ahead.
Okay.
So
So
what what was that? Who are you as a
So
person?
that was,
Um,
yes, who are you as a person?
yes,
Okay. So what Aries had was a box of keepsakes and letters, and then
yes.
what he had was a business card that resembled the American Express black card.
So before you keep going,
Yeah.
so
Go
Aries
ahead.
had, I'm gonna go with Aries. Aries had a box of like keepsakes, letters from family, and she loves to keep those. And that's, my family means a lot to me. And um, yes, she had keepsakes and letters, and I always keep them close to me. No, that's what Aries had. Go.
Okay. So um
Hey
hold up.
Sue.
So let me, like, yeah, with Jesus, let me just, because he's trying to impress the people, right?
Right.
So for his childhood, it's his high school diploma. And
Yes.
what I noted was, and I
Mm,
don't know if you've experienced this, people from Chicago, that their high school means so much to them. They always like want to know like where your high school is. But in the comments, I remember Melissa, I think it was said that, well, if you didn't go to college, obviously your high school diploma is going to be important to you. But I
yes.
think it's more of a Chicago thing. So I kind of like wrote that off.
Because a lot of people are more impressed with college. They mention their college,
Yes,
high school.
yes,
Okay, go ahead.
yes. But in Chicago, it's high
High
school,
school, right?
right? Then the dreams, remember, he's trying to inspire the people, is he brought this togetherness statue and it includes his dreams. And he has a dream of buying a Rolls Royce. Okay.
Yes.
And I will add that he has dreams of one day being able to afford a Rolls Royce. And just remember what he said. We'll table this for what he said when they actually met in person, or they were supposed to meet in person. Okay. Then who are you as a person? This American Express business card, black, that was like supposed to be his business card, but it looks like an American Express black card.
Right.
The last gift from someone was a painting of himself, and then
Yes.
the last travel experience was a chocolate port wine from Mexico. Okay, so now we're all inspired by Jesus, who is an entrepreneur. He made sure he told us that he does real estate, he flips houses, all these things. And so one of the things that I was saying before we went live was I feel like with Jesus, he was basically saying all of the manosphere talking points without actually saying I'm an alpha male, right? So
Yes.
these were the Easter eggs that I kept on picking up in this date. And for the manosphere, I feel we talk about people making six figures, and I make six figures, I'm 6 foot tall and all this other stuff. And I said it's basically like cosplay, right?
Yes.
So you're cosplaying what you think being rich looks like,
Looks like.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as a person that makes six figures, I will tell you it's like there are levels, but like the six figures really is just $100,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about it, there's this difference between your gross income and then your net income, right? So you can
Right.
have a gross income of $100,000, which is six figures, but the net income is not six figures, right? And so when you're talking about six figures, people act like, and I like to refer it as this, um, your your six figures or your money is talked about in terms of a fraction of a million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's $250,000, then there's $500,000. And if you can't really talk about it in terms of a fraction of a million, you're not really balling for real, right? Like it really is six figures, because that $100,000 would mean something in a town where the cost of living was low. But if you're in a New York, if you're in DC, Chicago, it's like you're basically
California.
above, yes, California, you're just above the poverty line. It's
Right.
not until we're talking about $250,000, $500,000, that it's six figures and comfortable
Right.
for real.
It's that illusion. And going a little deeper on this cosplay, he's performing. He's
Yes.
performing. And something that you just said, he said, okay, let me perform for the people. He's not interested in her.
No.
So this whole performance has nothing to do with Aries or getting to meet somebody or getting to know her at all. It's she's performing for the people, as you've been saying, this performance, this cosplay. they put on this costume of a rich man.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why he's wearing the suit, the first time that you meet him. It's like, I'm wearing a suit. I look nice. I'm groomed. I'm clean cut. And, that whole, the American Express business card, when you look at it, he's really trying to cosplay somebody like a Kev on stage, right?
Yes. Oh,
Because
absolutely.
Kev on, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, that's what he thinks.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's in his mind, this is what Kev on stage is, a person like Kev is supposed to act like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you looked at the episode, Kev and Marcus are both laughing at it. Like, what is this American Express business card? Like, what is this? And it's like, because really it's more valuable to have the black card than to have the black card impression of a business card.
Right. The black card, you spent all that money on a card, but that you don't have, that's not making you, that's not a real black card.
Yes. It's kind of like how people get the Chrysler 300 and it's supposed to look like, what is it, the Phantom or something? Like, it's not the real thing. Like, you really have a Chrysler 300. And it's like, really, these are just business cards, and they're business cards that you're supposed to be able to just hand out freely.
Mm-hmm.
But you spent like I think Marcus made the joke, you spent like $75 per card for some reason. Yes.
And you cannot, and to me, I wouldn't want to hand that out freely.
No.
Yes. I'm trying to actually get to the scene is what I've been doing, you guys. Because the scene that it made, hitting the, and Marcus was like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So getting to that scene. Okay, hold on. The last gift he received was, and I'm only going to play 30-second clip, but
wow, that's his jawline.
So he got, the last gift he received was somebody painted him.
Yeah.
You can see that.
I think pull your phone up a little bit. Yeah.
This way?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, that's the last gift he received.
Yeah.
So I think the business card is right after this. I've been trying to get to that because that was, okay, it might be in the next one. So yes, it's this illusion of you being this six-figure man is high. There you go.
High value. But without using the terms, right? You're using all of the Easter eggs that define the terms, but without the terms themselves.
Right, without having the terms themselves.
Yes.
And Ari saw right through it. Basically, yes. She saw right through it, and she really wanted to get to know him. She's like, well, and honestly, she said it too when he talked about his father, or he talked about, I'm from Chicago. And, a lot of people don't want to know about, the fact that my parents were crackheads or what. And she said, yes, that's what people want to see. Honestly, that's what's going to get you the business. People were going to want to invest in you. And he didn't understand that. It was so interesting. I want to get to that scene because.
And while you're looking for that, I'll say, even he said to me in one of the conversations that, he doesn't really have friends, and he feels like you can't be friends unless we're making money together. And so again, that's the Easter egg.
Because that's in the next episode. And he goes, that's the next date. And I'm like, so you only have friends they're only friends that make you money. Mm-hmm. All your friends make you money or are making money together. Yeah. And I said, that's a shame. That's really kind of sad. That, oh, okay. Here, I think it is. Here it is. Something that represents you. Okay, there. I just want to get to the scene because then y'all were gonna go to the. Now my phone is winding. I think yes.
This is my business card.
Tell me.
So
wait, up a little bit.
Yes, a card modeled after an American Express black card. It represents me as a person because this is like very prestigious. It's sleek looking. When you hand this to somebody, they mean business. All right,
hold on now. Okay, now Jesus Victory, sir. Now, okay, the diploma. Okay, I get you. The business card. Enough. I feel like no, Angel, no. He's losing her right now. She showed that car. She was like, okay, oh brother, this guy.
Could you imagine how much you paying $94 for each car?
For that heaviness of that American Express,
the shipping weight alone.
I got the back design where you can scan. My Instagram comes up. It says this procedure is not for everyone. Appointments only, meaning I'm exclusive, which is who I am as a person. I'm very exclusive. I'm not open to everyone. I'm not open to all conversations. So I feel like this is a great depiction of me. What I represent. Like if you just saw this business card, you would know it's me. Like you would be able to match it with me just from like who I am.
This is gonna sound shady, and I don't mean it to be. There's the thing that really makes you feel, and there's the thing you say on the date. Mm-hmm. I think the business card is how you really feel. On the date, you say, hey, I was able to give some things to the homeless. Here's a picture of that. Like, you got to present yourself in a presentable way.
He was conceited.
And he is.
From jump.
He is.
He said, I'm going to be consistent. Hold on, babe, real quick. Right. But I feel as though
I'm so sorry.
like the business card as the thing that represents him. I don't like his reasons. The thing that would have made me go like, yes, business card, is because he's like, I'm a reformed thug. I got forced to go to school, but I made that into something, and this represents that. Then I'd be like, okay. But he was like, it's prestigious, sleek.
It looks like American Express.
Exclusive, like me.
Like, that's where I was just like
me.
That's what he said.
Okay, y'all. So I forgot about the conceited part. He did say that he is conceited.
Yes.
Who calls themselves conceited? Like what? That was huge for me. Oh gosh. Who calls himself
putting on a show?
Yes. Okay. So that business card, I wanted to stop where the business card made the sound on the ground on the field, but I just could not stop. Look, Kevin said, okay, I'm done.
Yes.
And Marcus is like, no, see, these are people that don't need to do that. They don't need that. And so that's what KB's talking about, this cosplay. You're wearing the costume of a rich man. But you're not that person. So, and it's all going to culminate at the end. If you guys please get the app, because it's great content on there. But Jesus kind of confronts her in a rude way and says, well, why did he's shocked that she's not receptive to all his cosplay. Mm-hmm. And so, well, let's go to the next. I'm jumping ahead. I'm so sorry. But I just I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so next is the paint date. And yes, the painting date. Let's start with the fun stuff. Let's start with the Bria and Robert of it all.
Okay.
So Bria and Robert, so by this time, they're already have been talking exclusively. They're already vibing. When I say talking exclusively, he got the number. They're
all in.
Intentional.
Yeah.
And they've been talking on the phone. They have not met in person yet, but they've been talking on the phone, and they've been talking future already. So he knew that she had a bad day at work or a bad work week. So I really appreciate, he said, I'm virtually giving you these flowers. So he's just been making strides to make her feel better and just to be her man. So I really appreciated Robert. And what's weird about their first date, the paint date, is I was like, I feel like we're missing something. I feel like they've been having some. I was just like, there's more going on here, but they're trying to keep it under wraps. I just got that impression. Go ahead, KB. What did you think about that?
No, I think that's the thing, that they were talking so much behind the scenes, so it wasn't the second time that they met or the second time that they talked. Mm-hmm. And because even they said that they FaceTime a lot too, right? And I can't remember if they FaceTimed in between the first date and the second date, but they were already establishing a relationship. They were talking about their different families. So this is the date where Robert said that he got his family to vote for her, because he was like, that Bria, though, he wanted Bria. He's like, come on. And I think it was 68 people, I think, or something of his side that voted for her. And and the difference in the total votes between Robert and the second guy for Bria wasn't even that much. So his family made a big difference.
Right.
But yes, you could see that they actually were being intentional in trying to start an actual relationship at this point.
Yes, because Sherelle and Walter got 700 votes. Bria and Robert, I feel like they said it was like 400 and something.
Yeah.
And Bria said, well, maybe James, she was kind of teetering on one of the other guys, but it was the age that tipped her over. But Robert was always her first choice. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I have any other notes, but the voting, the number of votes, Robert definitely said, I need y'all to tip the scale.
Yes.
He said, I need you to go in and bring.
Yes. Yes. So he was very, very, very intentional about getting the family to actually vote for Bria. And so I think that at this point we all are like, yes, this is a perfect match. This is it.
Honestly, when I saw him shoot across that room, he said if it's not Bria, it is all fun and games at this point. And what he means by that is like, oh, I'll have the date with the other person. Yep. Sure, I'll do what. Okay, I'm here. I'll do what you tell me. But that Bria though, but I will be DMing Bria. Like he said, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated Robert being so intentional. And they just had a good time. I just feel like I said, oh yeah, they're just gonna have a good time on this date. And and he's always so complimentary too. He just loved complimenting her, and I just love them. So all right, let's get to Jesus and Aries. Okay. I feel like this is another date that's first she just tried to bear through it, but at the same time, at the end, she was just like, I'm done. Like she was, I'm done. I got the picture of he's like, now I want companionship. And he goes like this, like he's looking up at it, but she was so concentrating on
just painting.
On painting, getting gloves on her hands. But she asked him good questions this time. I want to go into the questions he asked her though.
Yes. Because I said, so in the first date where I was saying that I felt like it was more her interviewing him, one of my first notes was he's the when we first start seeing the date, he's actually leading the date. So it flipped from that dynamic.
And I think that she did that intentional. Mm-hmm. I think that she said, okay, so last time he said I was interviewing him, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let him do it. I'm gonna let him run the show. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I was just saying that was one of the things that he started talking more. So go ahead with what you were gonna say.
Well, one, I got to go to the panel, and I can't believe, because this was one of my favorite panels. Ron G is one of my favorite comedians. I used to live in LA, and I've seen him in on stage several times. So I love him. A lot of people did not like him, but I loved Ron. I love Ron G just as on a regular. So seeing him as a panelist made so much sense to me. So I loved him, and I love Danny Rose, and the name of Sean Scott. I like their panel. But he asked her, what time do you get up in the morning? What did you think? I thought that was a leading question. I thought that he was trying to slowly move her into something. Although I agreed with the panelist, he should have asked much more engaging question. I do think because of his temperament, because of who he is, it didn't surprise me. What did you think?
What do you think he was leading into?
I just feel like he was trying to see, how does she go about her day? Like what type of person she is. That's where I thought that he was going.
I did not. Okay, because that's why I had to ask you first, because I felt like it was another setup for an Easter egg.
Really?
So for me, and again, I can be a little jaded myself. Okay, I am personally related to this type of person, so I can smell the kind of setup, right? I think the thing was going to be like, what time do you wake up in the morning? Oh, I'll wake up at 6 o'clock so I could go work out. I think that was the setup so I could talk about myself.
Because he did say, I try to beat the sun up. After she said, I get up in the morning to work out with my kids. My son is really the type of he's really motivated, and he wants to make sure we get up and work out. I'm being intentional about that. And he said, I make sure and beat the sun up and get up in the morning so I can go work out. I'm the type of person that works out first thing in the morning.
Yes.
And he asked her about, and I hear what you're saying, because then he asked her about, do you drink coffee? And he wants to talk about his health and how, oh, I don't drink coffee. Oh, I don't do that. Mm-hmm.
So the questions were set up so he could talk about himself.
So he talked about himself. Oh, this is great. Excuse me. Secondly, Aries' questions to him were, this is questions that I would have asked. Aries asked, tell me about your friends. How many, do you tell me about your best friends? And he said, all my friends are hairline homies. All of my friends are friends that you make money with.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? You don't have any friends, like friends that you can count on? And I really was like, come on, Jesus, please don't tell me that. Like I was really, and I was like, I actually started to feel bad for him that I said, so this is really who you are. This is who you are. Yeah, these are his friends, are people that he just makes money with. That make money. Oh, and his mentor is 62. And his mentors is a hairline homie. His mentor is somebody that he makes money with. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So with him, one of the notes that I had was Ron G pointed out that Jesus didn't share any of his flaws or wasn't vulnerable. Keyshawn said he bigs up himself a lot because he wants validation, but then he contradicts himself. That was like in my notes. Mm-hmm. But I think like the thing about him was, and with the friends thing, right?
Yes, please.
I think he's so concerned, again, with putting on the show, right? And he says, I'm an entrepreneur. I flip houses. I do all these things. And I feel like that's part of that same cosplay, because I know you've heard this term too, that from a lot of guys is, you got to get the 7 streams of income, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's that setup for, I do the 7 streams of income. I do this, and that. And so I think that that's what he was trying to say without saying the actual words.
By saying he doesn't have friends and that his only friends are friends that make money, that makes sense.
Well, it was the setup for that larger conversation.
For the larger conversation about.
Yes, because I think everything that he said was a setup to go back to him.
Yes.
To say, I'm this person, right? Mm-hmm. And so, because even when he talks about his mentor is somebody that helps him, and he's like, yeah, I'm rehabbing a house right now.
Yes.
I'm trying to flip. And so it's always brought back to, I make money. I do this. And so I think it was going back to, I make money and I look like this. Come jump, why are you just sitting there calm? Like, you're supposed to be coming after me.
Over me. Yeah. You're supposed to be, don't you like me? Don't you, yes. I make money. I make them 6 figures.
Yes. And I think that a large reason why this doesn't work on Aries is because Aries has said from the beginning, I don't need a man to support me financially. Even though she didn't use the term, she said, I don't need a man, but she doesn't need a man to support her financially. So all of these financial things that you're saying are not going to interest her because that's not what she's looking for.
But she also doesn't lead with that. She doesn't lead with the money. She doesn't lead. And for a man to just keep leading with money, again, if you are an alpha, you don't say you're an alpha. You don't and it's not a sad thing, is it wasn't to impress her. He didn't want to, he wasn't there for her, as you said, it's for the people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But also I think that in this, like in the world of that manosphere, alpha male society, like they've had this thing where 6 foot, 6 figures, like there are these terms, and they don't understand that women are not a monolith,
right?
And so we don't all want those things. Yes. And it's like, that's great that you have that. Go find the woman that actually wants it,
right?
So I think
Actually,
that is the thing.
that is the thing. It's so funny. I'm getting over this conversation because I was just having this conversation earlier, and I was telling the gentleman that um I was at a night spot and I was sitting at the bar and a guy comes up and he's trying to like flirt with me, and then he sees that I'm wearing heels and he was like, "What are those? Those red bottoms? I buy those." That was his, he said, "Let me see that purse you got." Oh yeah, I'm divorced, and my wife, she had a closet full of purses and shoes that I get for her. Like that's what I do for women. That's what. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, how are you do like? Let me talk to you about you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he led with. And so
Yes.
I didn't know anything, but when he said I buy those, I was like, one, I don't think they were red bottoms, but besides that, I was like, okay, I could probably buy my own red bottoms. But even if I didn't, I, it doesn't matter. I just don't lead with that. Don't lead with that.
Yes.
So, and I don't know that there were no women on this panel that on this the current selection or even the larger group of women that Melissa was going through that could care about that. You understand what I'm saying? Even if, a lawyer like it doesn't, men that lead with that are the ones that are questionable, right? To me.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get to the question of the friends portion, but I really want to get, but it's leading to the other thing. When he talks about hanging out with his friends and reckless eyeballing. So that's what I really want to talk about,
Yes.
guys, because it makes no sense to me. So you can't. And Ron G got so upset because it makes no sense. If you are out in Miami, you're hanging out with your boys, and you don't. He doesn't approach women.
Yes.
He's not in the practice of reckless eyeballing. He's not in the practice of looking at pretty women. He doesn't.
Mhm.
That's not. Women usually approach him.
Yes. And that was part of the Easter egging, right?
Yes.
I'm 6'1". Come approach me. I make six figures. Approach me, right? But Aries is just like, I don't care about this. And okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think what happens a lot of times is, and this go, I'll say this generally, and it goes beyond Jesus, is that that community of men, right, are taught that this is what you do for a woman, and then when women don't like it, oh, you're one of those women, right? Because then instantly you become, oh, you're one of those. Oh, okay, and then you get to turn into the stereotype, right? Because you just don't like it. But the reality is, not all women don't want that thing, right? Like there are women that want it, and go find them and date them. But don't go out into the broader female community and try to get us to be interested in those things, because we're not all interested in those things.
So when you say one of those women, because you're right about the assumption, if Aries isn't receptive to that, then why does she become, or who is that one of those? What do you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. So I get that could be derogatory. It's not like that. It's like there are women that are attracted to that, right? Like there are women that are excited about a guy that's 6 foot, that are excited about a guy that that makes six figures. Because in the same way that you have the manosphere, you also have, what is it, that pink pill society, that
Yes.
like there are those people that are interested in that, right?
True,
Like
true.
and so it's not like you're making, but it's just people aren't all the same. In the same way, Black people aren't all the same, women
Right.
aren't all the same, Black women aren't all the same, Black men aren't all the same. So it's just, be who you are.
Mhm.
And if you want to lead with your money, find a woman that's also interested in a man that leads with money. But that's just not Aries.
It's just not Aries. You don't lead with money. I agree. And that's why I just was like, okay, the reckless eyeballing. I'm actually trying to get to the scene because that really, that made me so mad.
But again, that's part of his saying, like, women come to me, it's like, okay.
Okay, y'all. I'm trying to get to the good stuff. I think that's the good stuff is episode 7. Because it hurts because we do want somebody and we are deserving and all of those things, but then you come across someone that's not receptive, or he's in a different mindset altogether,
Yes.
and there would be
Yes.
no way to break down those walls and show him who he's really being.
Yes. Because he's not even being authentic himself, right?
Right.
He's just only doing surface level things. So you don't really know anything about Jesus as a person. You just know what he could write on a resume, essentially.
Exactly. He's just showing his resume. He's been showing his resume this whole time, actually.
Yes.
And honestly, I truly believe that, and then I'm actually getting to the scene though, but I truly believe that they cut this the paint date for Jesus and Aries. They
Yeah.
cut it because I think that they got into some territory. I think that Aries started to just like speak up, and she was getting really frustrated. And then because you notice at the end of this each date, they would have a little, a selfie cam with the daters, and they say, oh, my date went good, such and such and such and such. We didn't have that.
No.
With Aries and Jesus, they cut. And I said, and this is part of Melissa's protection.
Yes. She gave him the good edit.
She
Yes.
absolutely gave.
Yes. She gave him the good edit.
She said, Jesus, I protected you.
Yes.
When you didn't even know I protected you, I protected you. And I said, I noticed it immediately. Maybe it's because of my time in production, but I was like, wait a minute. I said, oh, there's some territory that he got into that was not good. I immediately noticed it. And I said, and everybody else was like, wait a minute, what happened to Aries and Jesus? I said, we didn't want to see it. We did not want to see that. So I think I got it here.
I'm saving. I'm gonna have to ask one question, like, why are you single? What would you say?
Why am I single? Because
you can't say I'm waiting on Mr. Right.
Well, I'm single by choice.
Okay. We're gonna get into that in a second.
Wait, can you pause it right there?
Yes. Go ahead.
You know, one thing I've recognized in just that one small clip, and maybe only because I'm just listening to it and not seeing it, if you notice, it was kind of set up like a Kevin Samuels question, right? Why are you single? And don't say this answer.
Yes.
Right?
He absolutely did. He said, and you can't say this.
Yes.
Learn a person. You ask further questions, right? So I'm saying, is it just about ignoring?
I ain't hopping a trick bag. That's all.
Okay, hold on. Here's
learn.
What we talking?
You gonna be pushing something?
Here's the I think. Here's the reckless eyeballing. I think. Oh shoot, I missed it.
Where I come from, like I said, discipline. That's the main thing. That's what we talking about.
Right.
That's the narrative. That was an example. And you taking it to another direction.
That's how you learn a person. You ask further questions.
So she's trying to learn him. She's trying to ask him questions. She's trying to get to know him, but he's cutting each time. And he's saying that she is, this is how you learn somebody. And he's stepping on her words and saying, well, you're taking it into another direction. And I feel like he's making these assumptions on what she's saying and not wanting to explain. I really want to get to the reckless eyeballing part because it just didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. So when he talked about companionship, I know what I'm trying to do is go to Ron G standing up, and that'll get that'll get me to the part. But when he talks about companionship and he does his eyeballs close to the camera, let's speak on that for a second, because it was almost like he was trying to make a connection. It was almost like a sweet part, and I was like, oh, is this you trying to be sweet? Like, where's this coming from? Because she didn't even know to be receptive to it because he hasn't been that person. You understand what I'm saying? If I know okay, this is who he is, then I'm receptive to that.
Yes. And she wasn't even looking up, which it was sad that she didn't even catch that was a moment that even happened. right? So she's like, I'm here for companionship, and then
Right.
you know, and she's just painting away and not paying attention. Well, I mean, she was listening, but just not actually looking at the camera and looking at him.
Yeah, she wasn't even looking at him, but I just feel like these dates. Okay, I found it. I think I found it.
Yeah. And
Love it.
Hey, Bria is like a walking back rub.
Describe this relationship that we're on.
I'm a fan of Walter. I like.
I like everybody on this. Walter
Pay for it if you don't want.
and he.
Take it to fourth gear.
Okay.
See what it shell.
Love it.
Will be uncomfortable.
Okay, so with that,
Everything, but
I really want to get to that. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'll find it. But yeah, so the reaction when he had this reckless eyeballing, Ranji, who's been single for years, now he's married, happily married, and really, is excited to hopefully start a family soon. He just did not understand. Is that what we're doing? There's all these beautiful women out here, and to actually look at a woman and want to approach her is something negative in his book to him. So I just did not understand that. And again, I understand what you're saying, that that's cosplay. That's not really him.
Yeah, because I'm not like the other guys. I don't really just go, I'm not out here like that. I'm exclusive. I don't look at other women.
But how are you going to meet somebody if a woman's not going to approach you? But he doesn't have to, I guess, as you just said.
Because the women come to him. He doesn't have to approach the women. But
those are not lasting relationships.
No. And one of the things, was it the second date? Maybe the first, at one point, I don't know if you remember this, he was telling her that he was in a relationship, and then she asked him, how long was it? And he said 6 months.
6 months.
And one of the things I picked up on was, oh, that's enough time for your representative to go away.
Yeah.
So, his long relationship before getting on the show was 6 months.
Right. That was his longest?
Not the longest. It was just the relationship that he had before the show.
Right.
So I don't know if they ever went into his relationship or dating history. Really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do remember that. And I agree. That's the longest. That's enough time for your representative to go away, for you to get to know someone. But that's also enough time for her to really get to know the man, get to know this man that's get to know the real you, and this man that's got this business card that's not $95. That's for all of that to go away.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm trying to go to, because I feel like Ranji just did that. But okay, let's go to Sherelle and Walter, because with this, Walter finally gets her number, and they feel like they're just having a good time. I'm like, okay, they're having a cute time. They're having a cute date. He is full of compliments. But I just honestly, to me, Walter showed his age in this, and I just felt like, I said, oh, he's so sweet. What a sweet country boy. That's all I kept thinking was, what a sweet country boy. And I also got the impression that Walter truly believes, which I agree with, that Sherelle's out of his league.
Yes.
So I just like Walter, but I was like, oh, he's sweet.
Yeah.
And honestly, that sweet country boy, that kind of like makes women melt. They're like, oh, and then Danny Rose was just thought he was the cutest thing, and like, oh, I like Walter. And I believe that people voted for him because they're like, well, let's not judge him. Yes, he's had 4 kids, he's got a lot past life, but they'd be good together. That like, and yes, I think that people are like, don't judge a book by his cover. He's a good man, and all of these things. And Sherelle, give him a chance. That's what I kept thinking. I was like, stop making her give this man a chance. Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah. Now, I thought he was very funny. He had a lot of jokes. So he had that woo joke where he was like, my mom used to nickname me Woo because every time I did something, she was like, woo. Yes. And I can't remember if this was you ain't said nothing, slipped to a can of paint or a can of oil or something like that. Joke. Yeah. So he had a lot of good jokes, a lot of one-liners. Like he was very funny in this date. And I think, it was good in this episode. You're rooting for Walter in this episode, right?
Right.
But yeah, I thought that he was a nice guy, and yes, he had all of his jokes and this extrovert, and you can see where, based on the people that we're seeing on the screen, that they would be a good match together.
Right. That I really, y'all, the reason I'm peeling this back is because I kept thinking, why are people thinking that Walter and Sherelle would be a good match? And because I just peeped it immediately, but based on what we're seeing, she'd make him laugh and she'd be a good match. But yeah, that's why. And you know, like KB is saying, they picked two things. He's a PK, ex-military, very regimented. So the girl that was raised Pentecostal, wants to be a pastor, perfect. And then let's go.
Yeah.
That's but to me, it's
That's
just
not-
that's not it. That's not it. So so this is the date they exchanged numbers, and it was really cute and everything. So okay, so they were off and running. But this is also the day I said that Aries is just done. She's just done. She's like, I'm so done with this. I do feel like at the end, that's how you get. She was like, that's how you get to know people. That's how you really talk to people. Really, that's how you really try to get to know people. Is we have a conversation, a back and forth. He didn't want to have a back and forth. He was just like, here you go interviewing again. Here you go interviewing again. But because she was asking questions, he couldn't, as you call it, do his cosplay.
Yeah, no, he couldn't. He couldn't field the questions in the way that he wanted to, or, inspire the people. Right? Like, so in his answers, it wouldn't be inspirational to us, the audience. And that's what he's really here for.
That's what he wasn't even here for Aries at all. That's, Yeah, I haven't found it, but that's okay. Let's go to, okay, so I did not pull. So the last screen was the game night.
Yes.
The last date before they meet in person is game night, and that's with BT Kingsley. And I'm going to pull it because a lot of people were having an issue. Because this season 2 was with Keon Poley. Keon Poley and BT Kingsley are two different type of comedians. Very funny, both of them.
Yes.
But BT is just much more. He's I don't know. He's engaging. They both are engaging, and KB and I were talking about this before the show. I think it was Walter, because Walter's so funny, and because Walter is just because Walter is Walter.
Yes.
It was just so engaging and interesting to just see them. And BT Kingsley is from Houston. So the things that Walter would say, it was just so funny, and they were just back and forth off each other. They were back and forth off of each other. So I just think it was that. I liked Keon, but he's just a much more calmer temperament. His temperament, that's it. He and BT have totally different temperaments.
Yeah,
I agree. And so go ahead.
I was going to say, I think part of it is, there are some comedians, even if you're looking at, oh gosh, the words are going to escape me now. The keep your distance comments, right? There are some comedians that Kev works with where they're good comedians, right? And then some can be a host, right? And I'm thinking that maybe Keon Poley just isn't a good host, but I also don't remember him hosting a comedy show either.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's what it is maybe he needed a comedian that could have done both.
Right. I agree with that. I absolutely agree. And we haven't seen Tahir do the hosting either, but we've seen a lot of Tahir shows, and but I agree because
actually Tahir hosted one of the Keep Your Distance when Kev was out.
I'm saying host
host the show. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Game night. But we've seen him host before and his comedy. So with Keon, we've never seen him host. And but I feel like he got a lot of things that said, "Oh, this is Mrs. Kev on Stage's show." Or did you hear that, Melissa? Like, so he had a lot of things to that. But BT, we've seen him host before. We've seen him just like play off the camera and play off the people and stuff like that. So Keon did that, but not as much as BT. And being that everybody was from Houston or in Texas, I got that impression as well. But I agree. There's something to somebody that's a host and a comedian that just a little bit more flavor. I agree with that. So they all had one-on-one conversations. This is what I was going to go to. Real quick.
On this day, kind of like, okay, well, now I'm about to talk to you how I would talk, but I still was.
So they're talking about their last date.
I'm coming, but I was like, hey, I'm trying to get to know what I.
Okay, so
after the first date, I was like, I don't know, because I didn't want to judge based on, obviously I told him up front what I felt about what I saw from the surface, first impressions type of thing. I wanted to be honest about that so that he knew where I was coming from, but I was like, hey, I'm trying to get to know who you are. So I'm all that out the window. Let's have a conversation. He could have totally flipped the script, saying some other things, but I was like, I don't know. Okay, we'll see. I feel like we cracked the service talking about certain things, but then coming into the second date, I was like, I'm coming in and I didn't know I was coming in for battle. Like, it really felt like that. So I don't feel like he's open, and it definitely had me on guard. So I'm like doing the dance with him, on this date, kind of like, okay, well, now I'm about to talk to you how I would talk, but I still was being way nicer than.
Y'all, that's rough. If you feel like you are on guard and you have to come into a date ready for battle. And so she really was trying to okay, let me try the second date. Let me see. Let's see how this is going to go. And she felt again like she was ready for battle. And that's rough. That's just rough. So what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the beginning. So the first time I watched this, I said no. The second time I watched this, I had again, just that 1 second little argument for him at the beginning, but still no. And watching this, and my reaction to watching the whole season was really like, and that's why I wouldn't have picked him in the first place.
Right.
Like, that's all I could say is, this is why you don't pick him. And I want people to understand that when in your mind, you're like, this woman's assertive, she's an alpha, she needs a thug. And it's like, what are you talking about? No. Right. Like, this is the pairing that people in their mind thinks needs to go together. And this is the result. And this isn't what needs to happen. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm justice for Aries too.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's go to what Jesus said.
I think it's just like the first date. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying the second date is pretty much like the first date. I don't think too much progress was made. But, sometimes you got to trust the process. Like I said before, you got to wait it out. You're the mastermind behind all of this. So I'm just having complete faith in you, and just waiting on things to, head in the right direction.
Okay, so when you say trust the process, what is the process? What does that look like to you?
I don't know. That's why I'm here. If I had all the answers as far as dating, I'd be married and, happily ever after already. So, for me, my way of dating obviously doesn't work. So for me, this is brand new to me. So I'm open.
Okay, touche. I understand this answer. Can I ask you one additional question? This is a real question for you. Jesus, you ready?
I'm always ready for real questions.
How open are you really?
How open am I? I'm very open. 100% open.
Very open.
1,000%.
Okay, he kept trying to turn it back around on Melissa. How many times? Mm-hmm. And that's I'm going to use this cosplay analogy of KB's, because it was actually painful, because I was like, this woman's trying to help you to, and she's also she's like trying to walk very carefully, and she's trying to give you the best edit, and she's trying to be, respectful and kind, but direct at the same time. I almost, not almost, Melissa was starting to get offended, and she was starting, well, not offended, she was starting to get annoyed. I got that impression that she was really done. And she was, she's also has to, protect the Black woman. She was like, I'm really trying to not put Aries in a compromising position as well. So what did you think about their one-on-one conversations with Melissa before the third date?
So I will agree with him. His way of dating does not work. And so I agree. Right? You're absolutely right. Your way of dating doesn't work. And I also think that he really wasn't there, like I've been saying, to find love. He was there to get a platform for himself. And when you look at Love on Stage, right? Love on Stage versus Married at First Sight. If you wanted a platform, be a Married at First Sight. Kev and Melissa don't operate like that.
True.
Right. Like I stopped watching Mass because I realized they were producing a television show.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just matching people to make the ratings. Melissa and Kevin were trying to make love connections. And he was not there for a love connection. He was there for a platform. And so it didn't work. It wasn't going to work. It was never going to work. He should have never been picked. Now you're trying to scramble for, answers. You're trying to do the best PR for yourself in a scramble, trying to throw it in. It's not working. So why are we here?
No, I agree. What did we say? That's bringing the bots, y'all. What did we say?
I know.
What did we say? Hold on, let me get them out of here.
That was random.
That was random. We've been on here the whole time for a long time. Hold on, we didn't say nothing. I can't wait till y'all rewatch this because this yes, y'all, this is gonna be a great rewatch because this cosplay stuff is this is great. I actually and I was pulling the picture of BT and this word game because this was so good. And I do think that BT really did interact with each person too. So it's very good. It's a very good episode because it really, what are you thinking? This is the intimacy. This is the touch game, right? This is touch. Yeah. So for you to, what people say when they're first thinking of something is so good. It's so interesting. But the reason why Jesus and Aries won the game because they're just playing the game.
Yes.
And I loved it because it passed my head. It came through my head. I was like, is she just stopping? She doesn't even care? What is happening? I said, no, she's not doing that. And I said, oh no, she's throwing the game. She
well, because she started winning. Because even there was a point when, so I wrote down in her tangerine answer, right? Because she said, because she was thinking about winning, right? She said,
right.
Color that starts with P. Yeah. She's like, a color that starts with P. I thought, somebody might pick tan. So I said, don't pick tan. Somebody might pick teal. Don't say teal. So I said tangerine. And so she was actually trying to win at one point. And then they started winning for real. And Jesus was always trying to win. Oh, yes. Right. And with Jesus's words, one of the things that got me was I felt like he was also trying to show off his vocabulary, right? Because his words, like there was everybody else's words, and then there was Jesus.
Yes.
Right. And so I think he was trying to show off his vocabulary in the game.
That's what Walter said. Walter said, this man brought a Webster's dictionary. This man is just trying to get the Webster's dictionary out. I got the picture of the game because I was really trying to get this picture. So yes, I definitely, Jesus was always trying to win because he's always trying to present himself in that way of, as she just said, this cosplay, this is for the people. He's not really here for everybody else. And so he was always trying to win. So Jesus, he was trying to win the game. Yeah. Whereas, there it is. I'm pulling it up now. And he just really wanted to get everybody, he just really wanted to win the game. So he kept getting them, he kept getting good words. And even Walter called it. Walter was like, this man in his Webster's dictionary. And yes. But Walter was the funny one. And so we're like, yes, we're like, and I think that's why a lot of people started to like Walter as well. It's like, he's funny, like he's really engaging and funny and everything. But I was like, something's okay. There it is. There it is. Sorry, y'all. I'm quick. So BT was really engaging with each person, and I loved it. But Jesus was really trying to win this game.
He was. Yeah. He really, really was. Yes. And so one thing, I'll go to Robert and Bria, because we didn't talk about this yet. They had this thing where they were trying to be, is it mushmates, right?
Yes.
For her friend group where
all the guys are their mushmates.
Yes. So everyone, they're these couples and they're mushmates. And you see them and they were just excited because this is their trial mushmate group, right? And they were more concerned with each other than with winning the game.
Yes.
Right.
And and that's how you're supposed to be. That's how the game is supposed to be. And that's what the panel was saying, is like they're playing the game for each other, but Walter and Sherelle are still just trying to still getting to know each other. Yes. So their questions or their answers were more geared to two people, being introduced to each other and just, starting to have those conversations. And Aries and Jesus, they're just playing the game. They're just whatever I think of, that's what I'm going to say. But I wonder why Robert's answers is holiday. What is it that starts with a W? And he said Winter Wonderland, and they just, what was it? Was it a place to go that starts with a, what was it? I
didn't write down the second that episode 10 questions,
but you could tell.
I know what you remember. Yeah.
I say that because just like you just said, it was having to do with them two together.
Yes.
And it's that her favorite holiday is Christmas, and it's good. That could be at my house. I said, they're playing the game for each other. And I said, they're already like so far ahead of everybody else. And you could just tell that Aries was like, oh, get me out of here. Like, she just wants to have a good time and engage with the other ladies. That's it. That's all she wants to do.
Yeah.
So, but I did like BT on this, but I didn't not like Keon. Okay, here I'm gonna turn up a little bit.
Oh, L, like you took an L. After getting naked, I hate to hear.
I just put L because you ain't got nothing else to say after that. It was like L.
Oh, L, like you took an L.
Well, I don't know. I just put L.
That's hilarious. You know what?
Okay, let's stop right there. Here.
I love Walter's answers. Y'all kind of got wowed by the whole. It was one of all y'all.
It was only one. It was cute or whatever.
Yeah.
Her laugh.
That was cute.
See, and this is the thing. All the ladies are swooning over Walter because he's aw, and they just love how he is very charming. I will say that this man is charming, but right. And I think that's how it gets them. I think that's what it is. So, okay, y'all. So that was the third date, and now they're getting to know each other. Now they're meeting each other, and they came to California. They all flew to California and everything. And Mr. Jesus comes down with COVID. Do you believe he came down with COVID?
COVID. COVID. Yeah, sure. Well, I'll go with he got COVID. I'll go with that. Yeah.
Why don't you believe it came down with COVID? I'm interested in hearing.
I don't believe he came down with COVID. I think he wasn't. I think Aries and Jesus were both done with each other. And I think that he was just done. And again, we just talked about with that second date, he didn't want to answer questions. And you can't really escape in person, right? So I just don't think that he wanted to show up.
I agree with you. And I just think, I mean, did he get to the airport and then because they have to get tested. And I was like, where did you get COVID? In Miami with the girls that are all approaching you? Like, what? Like, why? You knew what you were doing. You knew what you had to do. So you just came down with COVID. And I mean, COVID could come from anywhere. But I respect that. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know how much I believe him. I just don't believe it. And like you said, if he wasn't having a receptive time with Aries, and you can't escape in person, and that means that he's going to have to answer questions. That means he's going to actually have to be engaging. He's going to actually have to show up. No, I was going to say he's going to have to show up as himself, but that means also that Melissa's going to have to ask him questions, all of the things, and he won't be able to escape, as you just said, and that's not good for him. That's not going to work for him. So I appreciated that Aries gave the last date because they won the game, so they get an extra date. They got a sommelier, a black sommelier, who was very handsome, to go through the wines with them and everything. And Aries gave that date to Bria and Robert, which makes total sense. Melissa gave Aries a spa day, so she could still, have a good time while she's there in LA. And they each wrote a letter to each other. Am I skipping anything?
I don't think. When they go back to the rooms, Melissa gets something for them. But I mean, we can kind of skip that.
They each got something for Melissa. Yeah. They all got something on their bed that was like a keepsake, and I love the keepsakes. Melissa really pays attention, and she wants everybody to feel comfortable, and just the best host, right? And I just feel like, she wants to make sure and take care of them. She wants to make sure that they know that they're appreciated, and because they don't get paid for this, like this is, this is hopefully that this ends in something real, and that's all she can hope for, right? But Walter getting COVID and saying that he's not coming, but I really want to go to, and I'm about to go to the conversation on Aries' bed. This is I found it. Okay, so y'all. So we know Walter gets COVID, or not Walter. I keep calling him Walter.
Jesus.
Thank you. Jesus got COVID, so he didn't show up. So Walter and Robert show up for Bria and Sherelle. Aries is dateless, so she doesn't have an in-person date. She's not upset about it. Because she knows it wasn't gonna, she was like, it is what it is, but I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna enjoy my time with the ladies, and I'm just gonna make the best time out of it, right? She came, she looked beautiful and everything. Melissa comes and says, I'm gonna have a one-on-one conversation with you, just as she did season 2. She had a one-on-one conversation with Tremaine. So I'm gonna play this real quick.
Time together. In the meantime, between time, because I know that you haven't.
I went too far.
It was like
Here it is.
Nancy. Oh, look at the little. Oh no, that's heartbreaking.
So she's coming in.
And I have to tell her that. Hello. Hi. How are you? Good. How are you? Good. Did you like your little vibe? I love it. Is it just the cutest? Yes, it is. Oh my God. I took a shot on Love for Me. That is very cute. It's so cute. It was really important to me to have a private conversation with Aries and kind of catch up on what's been happening between her and Jesus behind the scenes. So from what I've heard is that there have been, which makes me happy, there were some conversations happening outside of the show, which is always what I would hope for, but I'm not sure they went in the direction that I would actually hope for.
No, they
Okay,
not.
so tell us about this.
So Jesus had texted me some weeks ago.
Okay.
But he never said like, hey, this is Jesus. I got your number from blah, blah, blah. None of that. It was just like this text out of the blue from this random number that I just so happened to deduce was him. And it was like, if you had the perfect man, it was some weird text anyways. And so I was just like, okay.
That sounds cryptic, actually.
It was really cryptic. I just kind of responded, and then that was that. It was over. No other conversation happened between there. No explanations, nothing. Then I'm sitting in church on a Saturday night.
Okay.
On a Saturday night, honey. And I get a text from him again, continuing from the text from a week ago, let's say. And I'm like, I'm not about to play with him. So at that time, I was like, I'm going to call him when this is over. Because I just am tired of these.
In the butt,
what's the problem? Yeah. And I mean, I knew that we don't have the chemistry. I felt like on the second date, he was very guarded, and there was obviously something more that we had not discussed. And we've only talked during the show. We've never talked outside the show, any of that. So I FaceTimed him. He didn't answer right away, but he texted me like, hey, give me 4 minutes. I'll call you right back. So he called back. We FaceTimed. She literally flipped everything. Like, you were negative on our first date, and I make $1 million.
Was that the tone of the energy going into the call?
When I first called, I said, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what's up? Like, I was very chill. Yeah. I was like, what you doing? Because he was outside, like, sitting at a table somewhere. I was like, what you doing in these streets? You know, like, being real cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm in Tampa, blah, blah. And so I said, well, what's the deal? Because, like, you've been sending me these texts. Like, I'm trying to understand, like, what's going on. And he started coming at me about what I was the problem.
Got it.
You know? And he gets into telling me, like, hey, you treat me like I'm average. I make $1 million a year.
Oh, is that we? Oh,
I got women throwing themselves at me because of my looks. And in the bedroom, I'm this way and that way. And I was just like, okay. And so there was a point in the conversation where I realized, like, I felt like he was trying to get the negative energy from me.
A reaction.
And I was like, not gonna do it. Like, I'm not gonna do it. And so I just kind of was like, you really don't know me. Like, you have not given a chance to get to know me. I feel like you came into this feeling like you knew who I was, and you've already made this thing, and you have never really tried to actually get to know who I am. At least I came in telling you, like, hey, I looked at your Instagram, it was looking kind of sketchy, but I'm open to learn more. And he was like, and yeah, all that back and forth, with us having conversation, it shouldn't have been like that. And I'm like, what? That's a conversation. It's supposed to be back and forth. I'm trying to get to know you. I want to learn your mindset, like how you think about things. And so it got real negative. You know, he was like,
how long was the conversation?
It was probably about 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so. I mean, because he was just like, you were judgmental, and you should have been grateful that I sent you those texts. The cryptic text, he felt like that was romantic.
Hearing Aries' experience with
there's so many things I want to say. Okay, and then the reason, and you can't decipher it from just a little picture. Well, first, when Aries started to go into what happened, Melissa got really uncomfortable and annoyed and angry. And Melissa starts doing this when she was like, ooh. And so she started patting her head down. So that's why I started moving. I said, let me put the camera right here, y'all. Because she got really angry. And you could tell that she was just like offended. So, but just as KB was saying about this cosplay, I have women throwing myself at me, and I'm like this, that, and the other in bed. And you should feel proud that I sent you those texts. And I'm offended. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, he has this idea of himself, and there's no way that could have. And he basically turned it around on her, like she did wrong. Like, how dare you turn me down? But it was no turn down. He did not put the effort in, and she's saying you did not make the effort to get to know me.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the other thing that she said was, you've decided who I was before you met me, right?
Yes.
And so yeah, I don't go over there to the other side of the YouTube streets, but from what I understand, there are basically two types of women, right? So the first type of woman is a woman that likes a guy that's over 6 foot, makes 6 figures, is impressed by this. And then there are these women that are business minded, and then they wait till they're middle aged, and then all of a sudden they decide that they want to settle down, right? So if you're not this woman, you're that woman. And there's no room for any other type of person in between. And I think that he thought that she was that other woman at the first go. And so that's what he was kind of alluding to because, you know, again, the Easter egg. I'm tall. I make money. Because now he didn't even say 6 figures. He said, I'm a millionaire. I make $1 million.
Yes.
He skipped it. I make $1 million.
I make $1 million a year.
Now, this is where I was like, let me go back to it, right? So in the first date when he was going to inspire the people.
Yes.
One of his dreams was getting a Rolls Royce. But if you made $1 million this year, couldn't you get the Rolls Royce?
Absolutely. He should have been three Rolls Royces by now.
Yes. So this is where, again, the whole cosplay, because you make $1 million, but your dream is to get a Rolls Royce. Right? So it's what's happening here.
Right.
Why would that be the dream? Why would you just like, oh, I'm going to get a Rolls Royce? And, yeah.
Right.
But
why don't you go ahead and get the Rolls Royce? Right.
Yes. So it's that thing where, he's not used to working this hard for somebody because he's also not used to getting somebody that wants something that's more than surface level. Right. He's just used to, in the same way you have that story about the guy talking to you about red bottoms. Right? I had a guy approach me it was funny, we were at the gas station and he's at the register and he's like, yeah, and he's looking at me, he's like, yeah, put 20 on it's the BMW out there. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and it was so funny because he's like, yeah, I drive a BMW. And then we walked out and I just hopped in my BMW truck. Like I was like, this isn't about like I look. Yeah. So, but it's it's like you're either this or this, right?
Right.
And so I think in his mind he was like, okay, she's 42, she's single, she has these kids, and isn't this the woman that they talk about?
Right. Why aren't you impressed by me?
Yes. And so because she's not, she's one of those women that,
right.
And I think that was why she was being attacked. It's like, this is all he knows how to do, but this isn't what a lot of women are looking for. She wanted something more.
Right. And so one of the last things I want to say is it's so interesting because with you saying that it's like he didn't want to work hard. Like this, so I'm going to have to work hard for her. Like I don't have to, all these other women, I don't have to work hard. I don't have to put in the work, not even work hard, just put in the work for them to get to know each other, for us to get to know each other. I don't have to do that.
Yeah. And the difference is with the other women, it doesn't last long either.
No,
right? She was wanting something to last long.
Right. It's 6 months and that's it. So if she's looking for somebody that's going to actually last long, that's not impressed by that's not what he's used to. He's not used to actually being himself and somebody getting to know him past 6 months. And to actually not even hard work. It's just regular, get to know somebody for a long lasting relationship.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. And I think there is probably some shame that he has in his own background.
Oh,
but just be honest, because there is somebody that's going to love you for that, that will see it and appreciate that you came out of it. But you don't need to put on this show. You can just be yourself.
There is absolutely shame. There's absolutely shame in his background because of the way he grew up and, being from, tough streets, and he had to climb his way out of the bottom and, and all of those things. That's great. That's a great story to tell. But when you're so guarded that you won't even tell that story, when you won't even open up. And I do a lot of these shows, and I guest on like a couple of other shows, and it's so funny. We talk about men being vulnerable, and there's a difference between. So if a woman is going to, we talk about the word submissive, and a woman, what she needs in order to submit is trust. A man, what a man needs to trust the man. A man who just wants respect. That's it. And he needs to be respected. So Jesus is like, the way they're going to get that respect is to show the 6 figures, to show that I got the 6s. I got 6 figures, 6 foot, and what's the other one? There's another one I can't remember now. But I used to watch Ready to Love, and one of the guys said that he had all I'm 6 this, 6 that, 6 figures, and something else I can't remember. But yeah, they just want that respect. Jesus wants to show that he is, the way he shows that he's deserving is through his money, through his wallet, through his, and he's putting on this front. He's trying to portray something else, and that's not what she wanted. She wanted to actually get to know him and peel back those layers, and he's never had to do that. And there is shame. I absolutely believe that there's shame, but how can you get past that if you can't even, get to the next, get to know you.
But that was a good point that you made, that's really his way of getting the respect is, I have this, right? Because that's what he thinks you need to get respect. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go to, and I hope I got, because there was like 3 pictures of Walters that I pulled, but let's see what I got, because, so they did a Where Are They Now? Walter is in Where Are They Now?
Okay.
Yeah. Jesus is not in the Where Are They Now? We just let it go. Bria and Robert. All right, go ahead. Say it.
Are we going to the Where Are They Now? Or are we going to talk about the other couples meeting?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Yes. Okay. I was so engaged in the craziness that I just wanted to go on with the Walter craziness. So yes, let's talk about their in-persons.
Yes.
This is the fun stuff, y'all. So we were talking about, okay, Aries, we've concluded Aries did not meet Jesus, and she's on a spa day. So the other 2 couples, though, you know what? Let's go to the other. Let's go. Yeah. Do I have a did I do yeah, let's do Robert and Bria meeting. Let's do that. Go ahead.
Okay, so Robert, I feel like this is the difference between season 1 and season 2, right? So Robert and Bria did not need somebody else on the date. Like, they should have just been together with bottles of wine and talking, because he felt like a third wheel on the date, and he kept on interrupting them and just pouring and being like, oh, he's laying on thick like he should, They made these jokes about they didn't meet, and they really reassured Melissa, like, we did not meet. We were going to meet. Like, this week was basically our deadline, that if we didn't meet in person by this week, we were actually just going to meet on the side. But when they met in person, you could just feel that this was it. This was a relationship that was going to work.
Yes.
Like, they were here for each other.
It was palpable. It was absolutely, it was so engaging. And I was just like, and Marcus has said something on a couple of different shows. He's like, just watching a couple and you're just smiling.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I just was like cheesing ear to ear watching these 2.
Yes.
It was so palpable. I was like, oh my gosh, this is love. Like, I just loved it. This is so funny you say that, because I keep going back and forth with this extra date thing. And now we've seen season 2 of this second date. But I appreciate them having the extra date, but at the same time, I like the sommelier because I like what he does and everything. But you're right. For them, just have them taste. And if Robert has a question, let him ask it. They didn't even want them there. He was just so happy. He was just looking at Bria and just smiling. I just felt like a lot of people there. A lot of people were like, "Why is that sommelier there? Why is he there? Like, get him out." A lot of people were saying that in the comments.
And I think too, because he kept on coming in and out, right? So in season 1, she was just like, this is it, make a cocktail, bye. And then she was gone. In this, it was like, this is this wine, I'll give you some time to sip it. He'd leave and then he'd come back. And then this is this other wine, leave and come back. And so he was kind of interrupting some of the natural flow that they had with each other.
Right. I agree. He was interrupting, and it wasn't intentional. And, Melissa, she didn't know how far they had, she knew they were talking, and she wants to also make sure that the date goes well and everything.
Yeah.
But you're right, that their natural chemistry was so palpable that he didn't need to be there. And so it's kind of sad because I like the guy and I love that they get that extra thing. But it's just not necessary. It just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary. So, and Robert brought his camera and he took a picture of both of them together when they, met. And then so I just thought that they were just it's just palpable. Yeah.
Yeah, they were cute.
They were super cute. Okay, Robert and Walter
and Brie. Walter and Sherelle.
Wow.
I'm mixing up the names now.
Yeah, me too.
Walter and Sherelle. So they too were excited to meet each other. I think this is almost like the reflection of game night, right? Where Robert and Bria were there for each other, right? And Walter and Sherelle, they also did the wine tasting, the sommelier, and they were paying attention to what he was saying and then having some conversation. And so the sommelier didn't seem so much as a third wheel on that date because it was a natural flow because there were breaks in their conversation where he could come in.
Yep. And I think that's why I didn't mind him so much is because seeing him first in Walter and Sherelle's date.
Yes.
I was like, he needs to be there, to keep the flow going. And I just liked him with that, Walter was being funny and everything, but it wasn't as bad. And I don't want to say it's bad, but it wasn't as much as it wasn't as an inconvenience with Walter and Sherelle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So but then with Robert and Bria, they were just like, I got this now. Robert, basically.
Yeah. And I think it was a difference in the conversation, right? So Robert and Bria were talking about each other and their families and meeting, where Walter and Sherelle were actually having conversations about the wine. So when he was interrupting, it made sense because they were talking about the wine. So of course he can describe more about the wine and, now try this one. And which one do you think? And are you really tasting the strawberries? And so it made more sense.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And because I was really kind of annoyed that people were just like not liking the sommelier, but I guess, he doesn't have to be on each date. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he did not have to be on each date and he could have just like let them do their thing. Yeah. Yes. I just felt like, that's a good point. Cause I was like, you guys, he's a sommelier. Like let him do his thing she hired a black sommelier and, but that's important. But I was in the comments, like leave the man alone, but I hear what you're saying. I agree with you on that. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I liked, he was so nervous. Robert was so nervous.
Yes.
But I was like, wow, like you just felt it. You
did. You really, really did. And they were just like, wow, we're meeting each other for the first time. I think everyone knew they were going to get married just in that first meeting.
Right. Yeah, we all knew in that first meeting, and I'm going to pull the picture real quick, that we just knew it. And I just love because you know what? The reason why I say this is because when we see these dating shows and we watch this, we're like, no, it's not going to work like this. And this is not. But then you see, and that's why I really commend Melissa, because 1 out of 3 is great.
It is.
I mean,
it really is.
It really is. 1 out of 3 is great. And 1 out of 3 that she's really paying attention to. You understand what I'm saying? Like if you have
Yeah.
Mavs, first Mavs was like what 6 people, and then now they're four or five couples, and 1 out of 3. I'm like, this is
Yes.
great. And each season you got one out of 3, like you're doing good.
Yes. Yes. And I think the thing with Mavs is I think for me, well, so I don't think I've watched Mavs before Chris, maybe, but I think
Oh,
that
really?
episode with Chris
Oh,
and
yeah.
what's her name? Whatever. The
Paige. Yes.
Paige.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that was the like, oh, our ratings are up
Mhm.
season. And I think they just were like, let's match people for the ratings.
Yes. And I'm going to go back to what Melissa, like I just said, she really listened and she really is matching them for the couples, and she really wants to make these love matches.
Yes.
But when you have a show like Mavs that just want to match them because when Pastor Cal said, I'm afraid that he's not going to find her attractive, and certain things that he kept saying, I was like, huh, they know that this is going to be a bone of contention. They know that this may not work out. We didn't know to what extent, and we didn't know, we just didn't know how it was going to turn out. But you really are just matching people. You're really not paying attention, and you're really just being kind of careless.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. It was really actually scary because this could really potentially hurt, not potentially, it hurt her because she
Yes.
had a lot going for her. And so this is the wine. So you see the sommelier there, he kept coming in and talking to Walter and Sherelle about the wine. And Robert was so engaged in that Bria that he was like, yeah, you know what? We're good.
Yes.
We're good. So yeah, if you're matching to match people, and then but on a lot of these dating shows, you're just matching. And honestly, it also has to do with the daters. Um, you have to be intentional as well.
Yeah.
You have to know what you want as well. So I'm saying that. Let's go to Sherelle real quick. Do you think that and I'm gonna go back to what we started, the conversation started. Do you think that she knew what she wanted, or did you think that she was vocal about it? And I'm going to try to go to what
Oh,
said.
that's a good question. She probably just wasn't vocal about it, right? So she probably thought that she explained it well, and I don't think that she explained it well, right? So I don't think that she was heard, and I think that was the problem, because one of the things, well, I will say one of the things that she clearly explained, which they heard, was that she doesn't want somebody with a lot of kids, and they heard that, and that was ignored, right? But she still decided to give it a chance. But you can also see where she wasn't heard, because someone heard virgin, and she was just like, I didn't say that, right? And so I think that maybe what she was actually looking for wasn't expressed in a way that they could hear it. And I don't know if it's her fault for saying it or them for not listening carefully.
Two things. When Melissa, the ladies, the producers were talking about Sherelle, she said, she says she's ready. She thinks she's ready, but will she show up as ready? And I had to write that down because I was like, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. And then the virgin part, I was like, did she say she was virgin? But she grew up Pentecostal apostolic, so yeah, it's part of the purity movement, and they really talked about the purity movement. But that doesn't mean that she stuck with that part of the purity movement. She was probably pure until 21, until she got to college or what have you. There's none of our business. But yes, she probably was in that. But, she had, experiences like everybody else. So I think that portion wasn't clearly stated, or wasn't clearly asked, or or they didn't hear that, as you just said. I agree with you on that they didn't hear that. But I don't know. Do you think she showed up as ready? I feel like
I think she did.
I
I think that she wasn't matched with the person that she was. She clearly wasn't happy with the match at first, but she really gave it a shot. She was open. She, she was happy towards the end. Like, she really tried.
Right.
And I don't know what else she could have done with the partner that she was matched with. Like, well, I can't look at this and say, well, maybe she did this. No, she really, really tried.
She really did try. Honestly, so what I'm getting at, y'all, is basically about 2 weeks after they met, right?
Before you get there, let me kind of help you set this up. So they're all meeting together. They all go, they're at dinner together, and Walter says, yeah, and when we get married and we have kids, I'm gonna date you. I'm gonna date you when we get married. I'm gonna date you when we have kids. I'm gonna keep dating you. All right, so that's when they meet. And now where are they now?
That's so right. This was at the dinner?
Yes.
The group dinner.
Yes.
You just helped me. Absolutely. He said, my plan is to keep dating you. My plan is to always date you. And honestly, I feel like Melissa also started we were listening to Pastor Walter, and she was like, yeah. She's like, I'm over here just listening to Mr. Walter. And honestly, that's also when they talked about Robert. Robert likes to speak a lot of French, but Robert speaking them we words. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that actually manifested. Like, he was listening to Bria. They were listening to each other, and it actually came true. But but Walter was just like, I feel like I said, here he goes again. He's talking loud and saying nothing.
Yeah.
Like, this is what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's this charmer. He like sweet talks women. And you don't have to be that person. You don't have to be the person that's like just sweet talking a woman and, like you saying what you think she should hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I really want to go to. I'm going to date you. I want to go to the dinner. Yeah, I'm so glad you set that up. Yes. Because so 2 weeks. Woo, goodness. Okay, so they all go to dinner. I'm trying to get to this dinner because it was I want y'all to hear it, because Walter really was laying it on so thick. He's laying it on so thick. And then he says, after the dinner, so they all go and they have to write something to each other.
Oh yes.
That's we forgot. I was about to
skip
part. And Walter's the only one that didn't write a letter. So if you guys remember season 2, in writing this letter, Tremaine hadn't wrote his letter yet, right? And Melissa says, everybody was supposed to send me a letter. I didn't get your letter.
Wait, was it Tremaine or?
It was Tremaine.
Oh,
because that was the one-on-one conversation. He said, don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrote it. He said, I will write something. I want to tell her something. And I even said, that's like me. I want to say something, but I also want to be cordial. I want to, because I want to be respectful, but still. So Tremaine ended up writing his letter. Walter said, I'm auditory. I'm an auditory. I feel like I can tell her better than I can say it. So he said something, but I want to go back to where did I go? Where'd it go? Oh goodness, I'm all out of sequence. Sorry. Okay, so here we are. But before we talk about that, we're at this dinner. And Walter talks about he wants to date you. See, I always pass by and go to the good stuff. I'm at Robert. Oh, here he is. He's talking. Okay, here it is.
Well, I think dating as an adult is different. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had so many experiences, and it's funny because in both our prayer journals and my vision board or whatever, like I knew exactly what I needed. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like a, well, what if? Like there wasn't a what if. I know exactly for me to function happily long term, I need this. And she had a prayer journal that like literally she'll, hey, what you said? Look at this. So it was a lot of like, no, even before you came, like we knew what we wanted. And then on top of that, we were happy in our single life. Like I wasn't like, oh, well, I'm sad, I need somebody. Like I was happy. That's why everybody, like my family, my friends are like, oh, you different. You different. Who got you like that? Because like I was good being single. Like I wasn't gonna settle.
Work because people are like rooting so hard. It's like the property. Well, you were actually concerned. Yeah, because we were.
Like when I say I can ask her.
We've had difference in opinions
and I feel like if I sell out, my reward
here it comes.
Are very alike. But I said, look, it's either all or nothing. I have to be willing to sell out, completely sell out. And I feel like if I sell out, my reward's gonna be great. It's going to work. I have to believe it. I have to believe the process. I can't come in here half-cocked. I can't come here, maybe it's gonna be, I have to literally, and I said to myself, if it don't work, fine. I know I have the capacity to do it. I have the capacity to love. You know, and that's what I want. It worked out great. It worked out better than I even thought about it. I still sit back and wonder, how did we get to this? How did I get to sign it up and I do a little type and stuff and they see a little funny looking video and it happens? But I love where I'm at.
Honestly, the day went without a hitch.
Oh shoot! Well, we didn't see the dating, but I think he was still spinning. That was him starting to spin his tail. That was him. You know, he'd just start to reel you in, and even just the way his voice starts to drop.
Yes.
It's also about that cosplay. It's also about that facade. Well, I just thought the same thing with Walter that I thought with Jesus. I just thought it was all this facade that he keeps putting on.
So, and then also Jesus's letter, that was basically bullet points. Right, my favorite.
I actually saw it and I skipped it, y'all.
Yeah, my favorite date was this. I thought about this. Yeah, it wasn't a letter.
Y'all. Okay, so Jesus's letter, he quoted Neo's Independent song. I like Miss Independent. I was like, really?
Yeah.
And honestly, this is where Melissa said, I protected you. I covered you. And this was basically disappointing. And, you know, it's disappointing because, you know, you do all of these things and you don't put the effort in that you should.
Yeah.
On the encouragement of, I'm so happy for you, some real life advice to take you beyond.
And Melissa's about like really taking you on this journey and really wanting you to make that connection. It's not about fake. It's not about putting on a show. It's not about putting on drama. And that's what we were talking about, Maz, a second ago, about manufacturing the drama and cutting this to build a story or create a character. Just to create a character of the person that they think that they're. She said that she's a boss. Or what was Bria and Vincent? They wrote that in the vows. Her friends did. This is the storyline. You literally wrote your story for you.
Yes.
You wrote their story for you. You're like, and yes, some of it's edited, but not to the extent that these shows have been on for a long time. Okay, here I think this is it, y'all. Hold on.
Something that's so heightened all the time. That's stress. Actually, what it is. What I tell you. All the doggone butterflies, y'all want the stress and anxiety. You need therapy. The next time that we meet, I'm really actually excited.
Okay, it's not here, but yeah, I really wanted Walter to go to his when he's talking about I'm gonna date you, I'm gonna do all of the things, right? And so here, what we have is Walter talking about he's auditory, that he does not no, I'm cerebral. Is that what he says? I'm cerebral.
I think it was auditory. I think
he's auditory. Yes, him and saying that he's auditory, that he didn't write a letter. Robert's letter to Bria and Bria's letter to Robert was just tearjerker. It was all the things. Oh, here's Walter. No, here's Aries.
But I feel like he wasn't honest in telling me what he was thinking. Like when I asked, like, so what did you see when you saw my Instagram? I wanted him to tell me, like, you see whatever, like whatever the negative, I could take it, you know? And so, but he didn't. He was like, you sound like you got your stuff together. But in my mind, I'm like, I know he's like, she out here thinking she just Miss Independent or whatever, you know, and all that. And it's like, okay, fine. So I think that's why we butt heads on some things when it came to like being okay being single versus I don't need no man in my life. No, I don't necessarily need a man. I want to need one. Mm-hmm. I want to get to that point where I want you and you're a part of my world just like my other friends are. Like I need my friends, you know, but at this point, no, if we're grown and we're single right now, clearly you didn't need somebody to get to this point, but it's not like I'm anti-man or anything like that. Like I love Black love and I want that, you know, but I don't want to settle for something less than that.
I understand what you're saying. When you look back, I think having the opportunity to address misconceptions about who Aries is, I think is really important.
You know, I talked to you about this when we first met the first time. If personality assessments, I am a dominant, you know, like that is a part of my personality. Like that is just who I am. That does not mean I'm not soft, you know, like I am.
What did you think she should have said instead? Because you had said in the beginning that her saying, I don't need a man, that nomenclature, it really set the stage for her character. Like that was the that he wrote for her.
No, so I think what she said to him in one of the dates was, I don't need a man. And I think she explained it when she was sitting with Melissa, right? So I wouldn't have changed anything of what she said to Melissa because I think that was the completed sentence of what she was saying to him, right? Because it's not that she said it wrong. I just think it was an incomplete sentence, right? So it was, I don't need a man for this. I want a man for companionship, right? And that was just the end of this. That's how that sentence should have been. And when she explained it to Melissa, I got it. I understood everything that she was saying. And I think it made more sense. I just don't think that Jesus, I'll include her, that their interactions didn't create a space for her to have that conversation and be soft because they really both had to be guarded when they were interacting with each other.
Yeah, I agree with you because, but honestly, I hear what you're saying. Her finishing the sentence part of it, like, do we ever have a time to finish? Like, if I were to say, no, I don't need a man, or but I want a man, or I want that companionship, but you know, I think that some men are just not going to hear the full sentence. They're going to hang on to that one part.
I don't need a man. Yes.
Yeah. And that's not, I mean, that has nothing to do with you. I definitely think that she's both. She's soft, but she also is running a business and she's she carries herself a certain way, and that's okay to carry yourself a certain way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think what it was is that what he heard was, I don't need a man. So then why are you here?
Then why are you here?
Kind of a thing. But that wasn't what she meant. That's
not what she at all. I absolutely agree with you that that's not what she meant. Okay, this is what she's Melissa's got this card in her hand and she's talking about Jesus. So I just want to
the level of competitiveness. A song that
this is Jesus' letter to her.
Was very
I know that. What am I going for? You know, like at the end of
that's not a letter. Something memorable about the first few dates. The Peyton Sip experience was very fun and interactive. She definitely has a level of competitiveness. A song that reminds me of her would be Independent by Neo.
That's hilarious.
An open letter to her would say, continue to be you, keep being a strong Black woman and an example to your children. So I'll allow you to have some initial reactions. My personal initial reaction is I'm upset. I'm not going to say a little. I'm upset. And more than anything, I'm actually disappointed. I am disappointed that someone would sign up. This is my first time talking about this, so I'm going to do it. Normally, I don't do this. but there are a few things I must get off my chest, respectfully. That someone would sign up for something and not follow through. Well, I've told you this and I'll say it again, that I appreciate you for at least being and seeing this through to this moment. I hate that you are on the stage by yourself. I know that Aries is a strong woman. I don't think that that's a question in my mind, but hearing you also say that I'm soft, regardless of a connection or not, that could be a pain point. When I think about, and I don't want to get emotional because I'm angry is what I am. And so a little bit of me is getting kind of protective. So I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm upset. But when I think about a woman that's been divorced, that's like, listen, I'm comfortable being single and I'm used to taking the lead because that's what I have to do. Having this opportunity and inviting you on my platform is something that I do not take lightly. I've said it to every person. I do not take it lightly because I understand that I'm exposing you to folks with opinions and comments. And I don't do that in a way that I take lightly. It's always my responsibility and something that I take very seriously, even in the editing process, to the point that folks be mad at me because I always want to protect people. Jesus, I've protected you. I have. More than you know, I have. And so for you not to give us the courtesy and the respect of me, the person that's actually the creator of this show, to not give you the respect and the courtesy to have a conversation with you and simply say, it didn't work, but I.
So what did you think of that? That was, I just was trying to get to that part.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus phoned it in. Like he phoned it in. He was done. And that was part of the reason why I don't think that he really had COVID. Like, he was done. He didn't even take the effort to have a good goodbye letter. It was just, okay, let me do this here, read it, I'm done.
And yeah, he just said, oh yeah, something memorable about the day was the pain sip. And she reminds me of Neo's song and continue to be an example to your kids. Like, I was like, honestly, he absolutely phoned it in. He's like, this isn't going to get me anything. This is going to get me followers. I'm going to get a bad. He knew that, to no fault of theirs, to Melissa's, that he's going to get a bad edit. To him, he thinks he's going to get a bad edit. But that's his fault. Because he phoned it in, because he did not put the effort in that he should have. And it's really sad because she's a good person. And even if it didn't work, just like Melissa said, hey, this doesn't work. We didn't make a connection, but let me put the most effort in. I so wish he would have at least done what Chandra and what's his name, James did. I just hey, we're not a match, but let's just enjoy this time. I just wish he would have just done that, but he didn't. And it's really sad. So go ahead. Were you going to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing, since, you're putting on a show and I know that you produce, is knowing your audience, right? Excuse me. And this is Kevin on Stage Studios. Like, this isn't the audience for this foolishness that you just presented. So obviously the audience isn't on your side here.
Yes. And you're being attacked in the comments and everything. Y'all, we're gonna go into the Walter of it all. Let's get into the Walter of it all.
Walter of it all, yes.
Yes, let's get into the Walter of it all. So I have him on the stage with Melissa because he says he's auditory and he didn't want to write a letter. He wanted to talk to Sherelle, and he spoke to her, and he said, "Oh, I just think that you're a great person." I don't know. I don't remember what he said. It was,
I don't either. I mean, he just said words.
He just said words, and honestly, he started to come off that way. I was like, you just start talking. I don't know what you're saying. Is anything that you're saying meaningful? So yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, he just really, what he almost did, and there was, if you were watching that episode, or just even this season, right? There's this thing of Walter. He's the preacher's kid. He's kind of like the pastor Walter, right? And it's almost like when you watch Kev and somebody's like, and Kev's like, give me a topic, I'll do a sermon on it. It's like he was doing that in real time for his letter. right?
Yes.
It really was words in a tone and a pace that sounded romantic, but at the end of the day was Kev preaching on random topics.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. When when starts going into his yeah, his speaking in tongues, and then
Yes.
all of a sudden, yes, that's exactly what he was doing. I was like, just on random talks, he just starts spinning this tale. I was, oh man. So after this, about 2 weeks after they meet, I'm sorry, yes, 2 weeks after they meet in person, they do a Where Are They Now? And she meets with Sherelle, and she meets with all the couples. Well, she met with Aries, she met with Robert and Bria. They were at that point, he had already gotten down on one knee and proposed. So they're now, as you know, they're married. And then he also got with Sherelle separately and Walter separately.
Yes. And Jesus didn't show up. Like, he didn't show up for the in-person meeting.
Right. Jesus did not show up for his in-person Where Are They Now? But and then Walter, and I put this picture on because this picture of Walter, and so just everything, it just looked, I said, this is the real Walter. This
is the real Walter.
This is the real Walter. This other guy that's like always joking around, and the had the light around him when he's talking about his stuff that he's, from his childhood and everything. That wasn't the real Walter. I said, this guy that's like, I don't know, it's almost, I was like, he almost sounded depressed. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. And so in this, it's like the tale of two relationship stories, right? And I think this is kind of the visual warning of when you meet somebody and they're talking about their ex, and people are like, well, you've only heard that one person's side of the story.
Right.
Like, so this is us hearing two sides of the story, and they're completely different stories.
Right. They're completely different stories. And that's why I was going to go to Sherelle's part of the story, because Sherelle was saying that this woman started DMing him, and she felt like she was being followed. It was real. So she actually kept giving him a chance. He would spin a lie, and she gave him a chance. And then she said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. He told me one thing, I believed him. And I didn't know this when they first got him on, that as you just stated, he was freshly divorced. Like, freshly meaning a month. I did not know that. So, I mean, people were coming in the comments saying everything, telling Sherelle all kinds of stuff. But Sherelle was like, well, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. People say things, but that's not who he was presenting to me. So Sherelle really tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I wanted to say. We as women, when somebody, presents a different way, we really try to give them the benefit of the doubt. We really try to, see how they really are and stuff. And she said, no, I can't do this anymore. So what did you think of what Walter said? Go ahead.
I don't know where Walter pulled that story out from, but he pulled it. I mean, it was okay. So Sherelle's story is that he has this ex that is warning her about him, right? And she's in her DMs, and she's going back to Walter, and Walter saying, no, this is it. And I think they allude to either he had a vasectomy or something. Like, there's some story there, right? And then Walter says the reason why we broke up is because she wanted kids.
She wanted kids.
And and then so Melissa said, well, have you thought about maybe adopting a kid or something? And he was like, I didn't think about that, but maybe that's something I can think of, and that's something that we can explore. And Melissa was like, I'm not saying go back. Right? Like, I'm just saying that okay, you've now hit with this story and this makes no sense. Like there are holes, there are plot line holes in this story that you were telling me right now.
There were gaping holes in Walter's story, and he said that the reason why they broke up was because of the kids. And what's also ringing true to me is what Sherelle's side of the story is. She said, to the point where he started gaslighting her.
Yes.
And that I totally believe her. I do everything Sherelle said, because this, I'm telling you guys, this fun loving Walter, he was putting on that facade as long as it lasted. As long as this could last, I'm going to put on that other part of, I'm going to show them the other side of me. But this is the real Walter. This this guy that talks loud and says nothing, gets women on the side, and then you start to see the real you start to see the real Walter.
Yes. And there was this other thing that he was saying, and I can't remember if it was in the Where Are They Now or when they met, but it was, or, when they met in person, but he kept on saying, yeah, I know because when they met in person, I know Melissa was talking to him about like some of the comments that were made in the episodes. He said, yes, I know that I've been married a couple of times and I know this and I know, and then, but she was able to look past that. And so there's this kind of thing in the background that he has some sort of checkered past. And Melissa even said, I would have wanted to know that because these are our homegirls, right? Mm-hmm. They needed to know that when they were selecting the men for the women. But it very much showed that Walter was hiding something from his past. I don't know what, but there was something hidden from his past that came up after the show was over and slid into Sherelle's DMs. Yep. And it just became too much. And now when we're meeting with Walter, it's none of that. It is, she wanted children and I can't have kids.
Yes. And you're right. It was this scene with Melissa, and they're having their one-on-one conversation, and he's saying he's auditory. But before that, Melissa's like, so that we read the comments, that there's a lot of things going on. And he's like, yes, but I want, I told her I would be honest with her. And he's saying I told her that I would be honest, that I would be forthright, and I would do this, that, and the other. And that, just worry about you and I. And he's saying all of these things, but it's coming out that that's not true, and Sherelle, I'm going to say, she gave him the benefit of the doubt. She said, oh no, I love Walter. Walter, we've had these conversations. He's told me about his past, this, that, and the other. So, and I guess that on one of the exes, is it right that he cheated? What happened?
Yeah, I think he cheated.
He cheated. And so she gave him the benefit of the doubt, and she said, well, that was his past. And like, I really love Walter and I really want to, make this work and stuff like that. So she was really wanting to put in that effort and give the benefit of the doubt. And I think that it's, when we are religious, we like, people falter. Let's give them the, that's, people fall. That's let's have grace and all of the things. And but no, I really need to stick to what I want. And I really need to be very vocal about what I want in this life. And I'm actually about to pull to Sherelle's comments in a second. That's what I'm doing here, because I really felt like, man, Sherelle, she's such a good woman and everything, but it's almost like this is what happens. Like, he really was trying to put on this facade, you know what I'm saying? Oh, hold on a second.
Yes, I love a good protective style.
I love it. Well, it's
love braids.
Have you been up to?
Girl, Christmas.
That's fun and fun.
Started a business, and people used to always like DM me like, oh, where did you get your mug from? So I was like, you know what? I got a lot of.
Congratulations to you. So obviously, Sherelle, you came on to Love on Stage looking for love, and you went through a journey. Post the show, you've had another journey to where you are now. And I think that, and unfortunately, we can put ourselves out there and we get our heart broken a little bit. So can you tell us what has been your experience and your journey post the show with Walter?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So basically, you guys all saw, when I first was introduced to Walter, we were first connected and matched on the show. I wasn't really feeling Walter like that. So, and then it was like, we got to know each other. I was like, you know what? He seems like a great guy. I didn't want to, miss an opportunity to find like true love. So I I feel like I put my all in. So we had like solidified our relationship. Like, okay, like we're in this. It's like, I don't know, something that I wasn't interested in. So I would say it's been kind of challenging, just in the sense of I really did have genuine feelings for Walter. But there were a lot of things that came out, and things kind of started coming out a little bit prior to LA, but I had no reason, not to trust Walter. So it was kind of like, the things that I guess that were revealed to me, like I guess the revelations of just some of the things with him and his past. I was like, I'm gonna trust to take him at his word. I had no reason not to, but then it's just other things just started coming up, and it was just honestly a lot. And so I don't know. Where I am today, me and Walter we don't talk. We're not in any type of like conversations or anything. And after that, we kind of just cut it off, and we would talk maybe once every now and then. And then I would say probably like December, he reached out to me, but also in the back, I guess this is a whole other sidebar to this, just being totally transparent. Mm-hmm. He had an ex that was sending messages like harassing, mm-hmm. and she sent some messages in December, and when she sent the messages, he started like messaging me, like texting me, calling me and stuff, and I'm like, she was sending the message on social media, like DMing him, and I'm like, what is like going on? And like, so I just like blocked. At that point, that's when I blocked him. I was just like, it's too much. Like, I'm not involved in anything with either one of y'all. So it was like, I need to like I don't know, cut off the noise, the access or whatever. So since then, I have not talked to him. I haven't heard from him or anything like that. And that's.
So this is her rendition of what happened, and I believe her. And then she's going to go into the fact that he gaslighted her, even to the fact that our conversations just weren't healthy, and I just blocked him. And then to the point where he gaslighted. I felt like it was gaslighting. But this woman DMing and Walter trying to reach out to me. But as KB was just saying, his rendition of why we broke up was because she wanted kids and I couldn't give her any, and I was not ready. No, he said I wasn't ready for kids. Yeah. Did he even say that he had the vasectomy?
I can't. I felt like I got that from her saying, "What about adoption?" Because Melissa's response was, "What about adoption?" And then I'm just like, okay, well, can you not have kids? Because they never said the words, and it was just something like she wanted kids. And then when Melissa said the thing about adoption, he said, well, that's something we could explore. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was thinking maybe they were alluding to he had a vasectomy. But because the whole conversation was riddles and mysteries. I don't even know what was going on.
It was just a whole bunch of riddles and mysteries and just all kinds of holes, gaping holes in his story. So it's really annoying and it's sad because, like you said, we started to like Walter as like even a nice guy. Yeah. I was like, I still don't see a full long-term relationship with them, but we liked him as a guy. I was like, okay, and I was like ex-military, and they see that this country boy, but to have some woman DMing your love match and all of the drama, that's not cool. No. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. He was just totally disappointing, and I truly believe this is this person right here, this one that's this looks like he's in a closet in the back of the closet by himself. With his hat turned to the back. I said, maybe this is the real person. Yeah.
And even just in this one screenshot, you can visually see the difference, right? So before, when we see Walter, there's a background, there's, there were like lighting, and now he's, like you said, it looks like he's in the closet.
It looks like he's in the closet. I absolutely agree with that. I said, there's a background. He had his awards behind him. Yes. Like he put on this whole, I don't even want to say facade, but he put the effort in. Mm-hmm. And now that this is who we have on the Where Are They Now? Yeah. I said, this is not the Walter that we got when we first met him. Yeah. This is the first Walter. This is the end of the show. Walter was sitting there with Melissa, and then this is the new Walter. This is the Walter we see. Yeah. Man, yeah. So I do feel so Sherelle's still on her journey of finding a love match, but she's got her own business. At home I have two Sherelle's coffee mugs, and then I gave coffee mugs away to everybody's. So make sure you shop Sherco, because she deserves love too. I'm so happy for Robert and Bria.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, what did you think of season 1 versus season 2? And that actually, y'all, this is where we're gonna wrap, because even though we said we were gonna do marriage be hard,
yeah,
tonight is
that's the book
spent.
we're here. Yeah, go get the book.
Tonight is spent. But we
Yeah.
we're gonna talk, and that's we have each other's numbers now, because I definitely want to do marriage be hard. So we will schedule another marriage be hard. But I really want to know, what did you think of this season versus first season versus last season?
So I think that they learned a lot from the first season, and they tried to correct in the second season, right? So in the first season, even starting with the matches, well, let me even go first. From the first episode of season 2, starting with the pool of men. So I will go there, right? I think that in the first season, there was this random pool of men where they were like, men, come, please try to get matched. We're looking for men. And even, when you look at the conversations and the postings, we just need men. And so there were men, when you're looking at the age ranges from 25 to 43, that were introduced to just meet with to pair with these women. And I think in season 2, the age range was more consistent, right? And then I think that the quality of men that they were able to get in the second season, and maybe because they started with the men and then paired women with the men, was a little bit better, instead of starting with the women and then trying to just ask men to apply for the show. So I liked that. And then also I liked that, so in the first season, it was just, you tell us who we should pair. But in the second season, it was like, this man, these two women, pick one or two. This man, these two women, pick one or two. And I think that was better than just this random selection of men. Because I think if that was the way that they set up season 1, I don't know that we would have gotten a Jesus. Right?
I actually hear what you're saying, because I actually liked them doing it this way. I feel like we got to know the guys, but I hear what you're saying about but the way they did it this time, they're like, no, let's pull these two guys and let's put these two guys with this woman. And that would have pulled out that Jesus, like, no, he's not a match.
Yes.
He's not a match. He's not just his look, just the way he talks about people. Honestly, him coming in with that suit coat and no shirt under it to show off his tattoos, that's not what women that's not the pairing we want. So, they look at their pedigree, they look at their age, they're looking at, of course, the age, the statistics, and their stats, excuse me, but then are they looking at everything else the first season? Where the second season, they really dove deep into which guys would pair with which women and stuff like that. So
yes. And I think that you still would have gotten a Bria and Robert, because all of the experts picked Robert for Bria.
Yes.
Right. So they kept it down to I'm between this person and this person, but everyone had Robert and Bria. So I think you still would have gotten the same outcome as far as like 1 out of 3. Yeah.
But honestly, would you have even gotten a Walter, because his age range, he's 41, 42.
And Sherelle was 36. And I remember that Melissa kept on saying we had the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. But then when you're looking at Sherelle and Walter, and then Aries and Jesus, there's one in the 40s and one in the 30s.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have anybody that's truly matching up. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you can go 10 years younger or 10 years older, but not maturity wise. You can't. You have a woman that doesn't have any children to a guy that has 4 kids, and I don't want to say a checkered past, but he's got a healthy past. He's been around the world. So
Yes.
and will that match up? And you have to think of those things. So with this second season, let's go with the Crystal and James. Bring me James. Like you got that that Bria though. You got that Bria. Bring me James. You had, you have that immediate attraction.
Yes.
So you have that person, but then would you have gotten if you looked at that? So my thing was there was for the second season. Why was what's his name? George, what's his name? Why was Chandra and why was he picked though? Because he's 53 and he's 55 and she's 45.
Yeah.
She threw shorts. Because I just feel like he was picked because of personality. He's a noob, isn't he a noob?
No, he's a Q.
He's cute.
The Omega Man.
Yes. He was all picked purely personality, which is great. But who's there for him? Do we have what two women did we have for him? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, we didn't have so he was basically this season's Aries, right? Yeah. Where there just wasn't a woman for him. Right. And so he was there and he,
but I do like, as you guys said, first I was like, oh man, they're not showing it. I do like them shutting it down and giving them a chance to date.
Yes, because in the first season, I think that they were very affected by the comments, right? And that was one of the things that were like, I tried not to read the comments. And you can see that they were influenced by the comments a lot. And I think in the second season, I like that they were able to date first and then we saw the episodes.
Yeah. Because they got to get to know each other and not worry about what people are saying about them and everything. And because that's when they can change up their personality.
Yes.
So just be who you are. And then if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So I do like that. And I hear what you're saying about the pick was different. I wonder if next season, now I know that they're not going to be back in Atlanta, but because I went to the book tour and Melissa said, yes, we are going to have a season 3, but it's not going to be in Atlanta again. So I wonder where they're going to go, but I wonder how they're going to change it up, or what do you think they should keep? I think that shutting it down and letting them date, they definitely should keep. But is it going to be back to the women?
Women first.
Women first this time.
That's it. That's a good question because so with the pool of men, right? I don't know if it was based on the timing of when they asked the men, just because I remember when they were casting for season 1, it almost seemed like Melissa was kind of desperate to get men. She was like, we need more men, we need more guys. And I think it was, sometimes even with masks, you have this question of like, are these the only guys there, or are these the only guys that applied for the show kind of a thing? And I think that was part of the problem with season 1. And what I found with this pool of men that they had to pick from, it wasn't the best. And a lot of them were talking they had a lot of the same talking points, right? So it was basically like, this guy is the same as this guy. Essentially,
they were talking. There's a lot of parables. They were talking loud and saying nothing, or a lot of them they know that. And what I also got was from it is that they know that Kevin, Melissa are their platform is Christian. They know so that was a huge talking point. They know that. I feel like only one or maybe two. I feel like Jesus was one of the ones that said that he's not religious or spiritual. Him and one other guy said he's not. So was that Aaron? Otherwise, they all were like, "No, I want that's
Jared."
Jared, yes.
Yeah.
So they know that that's the platform. So it was the same guy, same thing, same answers. It was very repetitive. But I agree with you that when Melissa first started looking, She got a good crop, but they were like, no, we're going out to search more. They feel like they said they were going into the barbershops. Like they went casting again. They said, no, we need a bigger crop of guys. So good. So that's one thing I definitely remember. I was like, gosh, it's Houston. Like we're
yeah, and I think it was just being able to cast the guys, I think, was the downfall. But also it was the first season, right? So the guys didn't even know what to expect.
True.
At least in season 2, there is an idea of what to expect. You see that, and you see that Melissa really is going to protect you, right? So it's not going to be this situation where you're being set up. And I think that was probably the one thing with season 1. But I did hear a lot of the same things where I want a woman that looks like this, and there's the look. I want a woman that's a Christian. I want a submissive woman. I want this, and so, I'm sure there's going to be someone that's going to make the comment, well, this is what men are looking for. Okay, fine. But it's also, Robert stuck out for a reason, right? And so it's, if you're going back to episode 2 and 3 and you're listening to Robert explain what he's looking for versus insert whatever the other guy is here, there's a reason why Robert stuck out.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because yes, I'm a Christian man, and yes, I believe in God, but I also want a woman that's strong. And you know what? I will always remember, like, he celebrates this woman. Like during the wedding, did you see the wedding?
I didn't see the wedding.
Okay, so he even shouted out, he was like, man, he loves the fact that she's so creative. He kept talking about how creative she is during on the show on Love on Stage.
Yes.
But then he's like, man, she made her own wedding dress, y'all. She sewed her own like in the middle of the ceremony. Like he celebrates this woman. So he stood out for a reason. So yeah, I absolutely, he stood out for a reason. That's it. So otherwise, and he didn't rely on, as you said, cosplay, which I'm about to adopt that to stand out. All of his cosplay to stand out, where Jesus needed all of his tricks to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, gosh, I would love for, and I mean, it's not going to get through to someone like Jesus, but I would love for Kev and Tank and some of these guys and Goolsby to just sit some of these guys down. I would love for that to happen. That I actually think that would be a really cool episode. So, yeah.
That I think that that setup, but again, like I said, I think it's a large part of it was the pool of the people that actually applied that made the difference. And because for the most part, the dates were pretty much the same, right? So they had the what is it called? The show and tell.
The show and tell, the charcuterie board was the second season, but the first season was the
painting. Yeah, so some activity that you're doing together, and then sexagories. Yeah, so it's the same formula. I think it's just a different,
but how you show up,
you're actually making the matches. Yeah,
exactly. That's what makes the person, how you show up to the day, how you interact with your date. That's what makes it. That's what makes it important. So all of these guys had the same. Except for Jesus and Alan, they're not religious. Elaine, sorry.
Oh wait, no. Oh, sorry. Gerard was the one. Gerard. Elaine was kind of.
Oh yeah. No, Gerard said he's not super religious.
Yeah.
But that's it. Jesus and Gerard. All of the other guys are super religious, but yeah. But honestly, also what makes you stand out is being intentional, and that's why what stood out with Robert too.
Yes. And you see where Robert is now.
Exactly. And you see where they are now.
Yes.
So I definitely want to have you back for Marriage Be Hard.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have the thumbnail up again. We're just gonna have the thumbnail with Tab and Chance. Y'all did the night is far spent, but I don't think we weren't supposed to do this long, but I just love the discussion. We weren't. Yes. So we're gonna definitely do, maybe we'll do next weekend.
Okay. Let me just look at the
strictly. Yeah, if we do maybe next Sunday, strictly in regular time, which is 6 Eastern, and we're both on the East Coast because I'm on the Central, y'all. And
Yes.
I know it's an hour difference, but
it messes you up. I know.
So
it really does.
Yes. So and we'll have Tujuana back, and we can talk with we can review Tab and Chance and Marriage Be Hard. I can't wait. I can't wait. So thank you so much, KB.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. Rewatch gang, please rewatch this and please put your the comments. I really would love your comments and your thoughts and tell because KB had some great ideas about this cosplay, this facade that Jesus was putting on. So thank you so much. Okay. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We got to get these things up because we got to get the subscribers up because I will be bringing back my men's panel. So that's important. And I would love for KB to come on and just like talk to the about this cosplay idea. So yes,
I'm sure they're gonna love that.
I'm sure they're gonna love that. And hey, Bronze Bird just came in. Just say hey, what's up, Bronze Bird? Yes, I just did a show on our dating show, but we're going to be bringing back the men's panel, and Bronze Bird, it was a guest on my men's panel, and he just dropped hot fire. So love you. So yes, bring it back. So thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch. Thank you. Good night, y'all.
Great. Bye.